Viewer discretion is advised.
New Zealand Samoans need to be humbled, but obviously I feel like Samoans in general need to be humbled. Yes, of course you're Samoan biologically by default, but it's more than that, because you're out there in the parades waving that flag saying 685, and they ask you, hey, would you like to donate some money? They're like this, oh, now I'm not 685 no more. You just gotta be so blatant, because this is the problem with this fucking world, man. Everybody's cuddling. Well, it's okay. There's something wrong. Can we talk about this? Shut up. You know what I mean? Like, just get straight to the point. I just think people just gotta know that not everything online is true, because they manipulate everything online. And remember, we're living in a world now with artificial intelligence. You know, they could take what you say and cut it into pieces and then compress it and make it sound like you said something completely different. A group of women going to the government, they could just be like, shut up. A group of women can be largely ignored, but a group of angry men is scary.
It's dangerous.
And that threatens the system, that threatens the matrix, that threatens the government, that threatens the elites. So what do? I hope that when I leave here, that you guys can get a different perspective of Stephen Setu, and you guys got a stronger version of me.
Mandate.
Hi everyone, if you are enjoying the content and the guests that are on the podcast and you're wanting more, then please do us a favor. If you can just press the subscribe button, that would be an amazing help for us. But also, just want to mention an amazing organization called AOK, who sponsors the Mandate podcast. And so they are an organization that runs suicide prevention, intervention, and wellbeing programs. And so AOK stands for Acts of Kindness. And so you didn't need me to tell you about the alarmingly high rates of suicide in our nation, especially amongst our rangatahi, our young people, even our tāne, our men. And so if you're wanting to stand in the gap and you want to be well trained and well equipped to have these courageous life supporting conversations, then please check them out, aok.nz. If you're a business, a company or a collective, or even as an individual, check them out, www.aok.nz. You could very well be that one person to help save a life. Welcome to Mandate, where we navigate fresh perspectives and nothing is off the table. Tonight's guest is from Tāmaki Makaurau, out in West Okilani. He's an amazing individual who happens to be a man who doesn't mince his words, doesn't waste his words. In fact, the man stands by his convictions, also by his beliefs as well, but also the man doesn't shy away from controversy. You see him on social media, you know their voice, their familiar voice, and so please put your hands together for the one and only, the most controversial Polynesian in Aotearoa, New Zealand, Stephen Setu!
Yeah, man. I love that, yeah. Most controversial, yeah. I don't like to just say in Polynesian, I say the world. That's what it is, eh? You gotta think big.
Yeah,
you know? That's it, yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. So this is gonna be a good one, eh?
Oh, it is hard on, man.
Yeah.
But thank you, Maru.
I appreciate
thank you for coming out. And we thought, obviously, controversial. And you're no stranger to controversy. And so, obviously, there's been quite a bit of controversy already in the past few weeks or week or so. And obviously, you've seen what people's been kind of viral, obviously, in terms of New Zealand born being need to be humble. So I thought we'd just start on that, Stephen. What are your thoughts on that comment? What are your thoughts on that podcast? But more so, what are your thoughts on us being humble?
Yeah, I honestly think that New Zealand Samoans need to be humbled, but obviously I feel like Samoans in general need to be humbled. I think you just can't pick and choose when you want to be Samoan. I think Samoan's more than just a DNA. I feel like with great power comes great responsibility. If I say I'm a Christian, then I go and fuck any girl I want to do, or I go out there and commit crimes every single day, I would argue that I'm not a Christian. I think it comes with responsibility. So if you're a Samoan and you say you're a Samoan, yes, you're Samoan by DNA, but are you giving back to the village? Do you know the Samoan principles? People say, well, I never grew up in a Samoan household. I don't know how to speak Samoan. Well, we live in a day and age of information that being ignorant is a choice. If you have the wherewithal to go and watch a 1 hour and a half podcast, about something so heinous and stupid, why wouldn't then you want to take the initiative to try to learn how to be a Samoan? So I think what Hannah was saying on that podcast got a little bit misconstrued, but everything else on social media gets misconstrued. But I think her heart is with Samoa, always been with Samoa. And it's just sad in that the same Samoans who are stitching the video and saying, well, how can you talk about Samoans in that fashion, are also talking in a derogatory fashion to Hannah. You can't pick and choose what racism is. You can't pick and choose what hate is. You can't pick and choose what advocation for Samoan is. It's very hypocritical. It's the same people that try to hate on me and they say, well, Stephen, you're useless. You hate on the poly people. You hate on the poly people. I'm like, but I'm poly too, brother. Did you forget? Are you dead the brain? Are you dead the mentality? How can my weight tell you something there? So it's crazy how people, they pick and choose what racism is. So if we go back to the topic of New Zealand Samoans being humbled, I feel like it's more than DNA. Yes, of course, you're Samoan biologically by default. Yes. But it's more than that, because you're out there in the parades waving that flag saying 685 and and they ask you, hey, would you like to donate some money? They're like this, oh, no, I'm not 685 no more. You know what I mean? That's 685 in my bank account. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So it's like, you know, they say they're Samoans, but we saw that thing that happened recently with that girl that had the malu. I can guarantee you she said she was Samoan the day she got the malu. Was she saying she was Samoan when she was putting her ass on Neo's pee? You know what I'm saying? Was she saying she was Samoan? You know, I would argue she wasn't. You know what I mean? So when she was lying there getting her malu and everything like that, she probably felt the Samoan spirit rushing down to her feet. So that left as soon as she went on the stage. She belonged to the streets. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying is that you can't pick and choose. So when she was saying Samoans need to be humbled, I think she was just trying to say you need to do some self-reflections and understand that there comes responsibilities. You can't, like, for example, yes, you can give birth to a baby and that would make you a parent. I would argue it wouldn't make you a mother. It wouldn't make you a father. You're just a sperm donor because it comes with responsibilities. So yes, I'm a Samoan by DNA. Okay, but what have you done for Samoa? Have you learned about Samoa? Have you learned about the Mau movement, how the government came into place? Do you know how to be whārawalo? Do you know how to speak Samoan? All these little nuances. It's more than just DNA. So when people try to say, well, you know, like, I'm Samoan by my DNA. No, you're just Samoan by default because your mum was horny, your dad was horny, they had sexual, yeah. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why. Yes, but do you guys see where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah. But do you think humbled is humbled the right word?
I honestly would say it's probably could have said better, but I just think you need to get their attention some way.
Yeah. Well, the attention's there.
Exactly. And look what has happened. Now. Correct. Yeah, now, do you think, because sometimes if something needs to be grabbed and received, you just got to be so blatant with it. Like, you just got to be so blatant because this is the problem with this fucking world, man. Everybody's cuddling. Well, it's okay. You know, there's something wrong. Can we talk about this? Shut up. Just shut up. You know what I mean? Like, just get straight to the point. Even with my messages, right? Because I always say that I try to motivate people. And if you watch my videos, there's always a message at the end. You just have to get through the brutal honesty. And a lot of people say, Stephen, don't you worry about like the cyberbullying? Don't you worry about this? And I'm like, yeah, but the message is there. Focus on the message. And this message will make them stronger. But people get lost in the noise. They get lost in the theatrics. They get lost in the ambience. But if you focus on the message, if somebody said, Stephen, you're fat, I can cry my eyes out forever. But guess what? I'm fat. And that's facts. But we're living in a world now where people try to make you cope. Yeah. Where you say, well, I'm depressed. Okay, maybe it's because something has happened in your mind. No, like, get over it. Because life is depressing. Everything is depressing. Who told you in the human handbook that you were supposed to be happy? Depression is a luxury. I'm depressed every day, but I have duty to God. I have duty to my last name to perform despite how I fucking feel. But we're living in a world now where people are so stuck in emotions. I always say this, you can be in touch with your emotions. Just don't be controlled by your emotions. The Bible said, be angry and sin not. So it's saying you can feel anger, just don't operate from anger. You can feel sad, but don't operate from sadness. Because at the end of the day, the true essence of masculinity, the number one tenet, is acting despite how you feel. You think the people on the Titanic were not scared? You don't think those soldiers in the trenches right now are not scared? You don't think when David ran into the battlefield and fought Goliath, he wasn't scared? But do you don't think Jesus on the cross when he was hanging wasn't scared? But he still did it because he decided what to do. And this is what I'm trying to say to people is that you can overcome these emotions, because I would argue that an emotional man's a scary man. An emotional man is the pedophile. The emotional man is the person that rapes that girl inside the alleyway. True men are stoic men. Men that can control their emotions. Well, when I with my partner, right? She said to me, she goes, "Babe, I feel so safe when I'm with you." That's the best compliment in the world, because I'm a full grown man, but the fact that she can trust me with her is the biggest compliment. So I always say this to men: you want to be a dangerous man, but you got to learn how to control it. But people don't know how to control it. Anger is a beautiful emotion. Heartbreak's a beautiful emotion. It's like water. If you can control water through a dam, it lights up the whole city. But then also water can be a tsunami and crash the whole town. So is your emotions water in a dam, or is it a tsunami? The problem is that we're living in a world now where everybody's saying, well, be in touch with your emotions. It's okay. It's okay. Well, that's what creates a school shooter. That's what creates the person that shoots up the mosque. So we're going.
That's how I take it. Bro, I tell you, man, Stephen, man. But you're obviously very good points, Stephen. But obviously you said stoic.
Yeah.
Well, why is it in this day and age? And I feel like there's a loss or a lack of men who are quite stoic now. Like you said, there's a lot of emotions,
right.
Be vulnerable, all that kind of stuff. Also depression, anxiety. What's happening in this day and age also?
Well, I think it's because masculinity is the bottom line protector of society. And since masculinity is the bottom line protector of society, to control a society, you control the men, right? Because whenever there was a revolution, whenever there was an overthrow in government, whenever there was a rebellion, it was a band of brothers who fought against government tyranny. So let's demasculine men, because women can be largely ignored. A group of women going to the government, they could just be, shut up. You know what I mean? A group of women can be largely ignored. But a group of angry men is scary.
It's dangerous.
And that threatens the system. That threatens the matrix. That threatens the government. That threatens the elites. So what do? They break down your masculinity. And then they try to put the women in charge of the households, when women were not created to lead. That's why God created Adam first. Women were a guide. They are the neck, but they're not the head. They don't make the decision. Men do. And the government knows this. The system, the elites, the matrix, they know this. So what do? They try to put women in charge of the household. And they mock masculinity. Look at The Simpsons. Who's the stupid parent? The dad. Look at My Wife and Kids. Who's the stupid parent? The dad. Look at any sitcom. Who's the stupid parent? The dad. The dad's always the stupid parent. The strong, bold one is the mother. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to purport these lies, because when it comes time for government to take control, you know who's going to be in the front lines? Women and people with blue and purple hair with pride flags. Those are the people that's going to be defending the countries. And here's the thing, gay people can't create children, so they come after straight people's children. They can't make kids, so they come after our kids.
Oh, Stephen.
So they come after our kids, right? Yeah. Because they can't make kids. No. Because they can't have a gay future, so they come after our kids. Wow. This whole system is an agenda. Even if you look at COVID, right? They're telling everybody to go and get the jab, go and get the jab, go and get the jab. Okay, but why are you caring about my health? When did you ever care about my health? And then they say, you get KFC. Oh, get the jab for your health, but you're incentivized with the family feast. Yeah. And then when I go to the ER, it takes 7 hours for me to get checked. But for some strange reason, you're up my ass telling me to come and get my jab. Say, get there. You know, that's what I'm saying. But you know why, right? And then women get controlled with emotional arguments. Women get controlled with emotions. Women make decisions out of emotions. So how do they get the jab? If women are running the household and men are at their weakest, that means men don't have sex. You know how many sexless marriages there are?
How many?
So many. The number one divorce rate for any divorce is money and sex. So people divorce because of money, people divorce because of sex. So if we're living in a household where masculinity is plummeting in real time, that means the woman makes the decisions. So if the elites are saying, if you don't get a jab, you're not going to attend grandmother's funeral. You're not going to attend granddad's funeral. So who's the one that's emotional? The woman. So the woman goes back to you and says, you ain't going to get any pussy tonight unless we get the jab. You're going to sleep on the couch if we don't get the jab. And since men are so weak, so beta, so demasculine, they're just like, yeah, I want my pee-pee sucked. I want things like this to happen. So then they would go and get the jab. But real masculine men would have been like this, nah, it's a shit, so ignore it. No, fuck it, let's move on. But they're breaking down masculinity in real time because they want control.
Man, also, I'm just no. That's cool. So, and I think I'm just more so on our Polynesian men, our Pacifica men, Stephen. Obviously, and I'm thinking, I'm assuming, and you would know, in terms of we're probably the most compliant. And so our people are the most rule compliant, and I totally understand what you're saying in terms of our men. Like, oh, okay, yeah, let's just do it or whatever. The female's taking that is now becoming the head. And so, in terms of our Pacifica, what do you think is obviously is it a generational thing, or are we just kind of like becoming real weak? What are your thoughts on that?
We just need to go back to the gospel. I know people probably watch this and say, hey, this guy's talking about the gospel, but he's swearing. I'll just say, look at my heart, because God looks at your heart. He doesn't look at what you do. I would argue and say murder is bad. But then why is David versus Goliath one of the most praised stories ever? Because it wasn't the murder that was bad. God saw his intention. So I might be swearing, but see my heart, see my intention.
Yeah.
So my intention is saying it's the gospel, right? The Western countries, they claim they're Christian countries. They have God defend New Zealand, God defend America in their anthem. Where's the godliness? So we have strayed away from a godly foundation. And it says in the scripture, when you build your house on sand, it's going to fade. And that's what it is with the Western world. You can walk with a t-shirt that says, I hate Jesus Christ down the road, and no one will do anything. You try to walk around with a I hate Prophet Muhammad shirt down Saudi Arabia and see how far you would get.
Not far.
Whatever. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You know, when you go to Dubai or you go to countries like United Arabs of Emirates, they stick true to the Quran. Everything is in the Quran, and people are afraid to do anything bad that goes against the Quran because they know that this is how it is. When Qatar was hosting the Soccer World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, the Western gay people that went there to watch the World Cup were saying, they told us we couldn't wear our gay pride flags and fling it around. They're trying, but it's like, well, why do we need to know you're gay? I don't want to know that you put a sausage in your muli. You know what I mean? Like, keep it to your household. Like, but I just think it's like, it's okay, but it's just, we need to get back to the gospel. We need to get back to the basics. A man, a woman, the nuclear family, worship God. Go back to the conservative way of living. Because I feel like in the Western world is that they're going against the gospel. And I think it's a very satanic world. Everything is Satanism. This whole thing. Celebrities, people are worshiping celebrities. Like, if you look at, I'll ask you guys a question. Yeah, what is a man?
Man, biological man with a penis. Yeah, a man, in terms of his organs, head of the home, leadership. Yeah, I think that's a man.
And what is a woman?
Opposite. I mean, when you look at it biologically, a woman is considered a woman at birth by the organs that they have. Their vagina, their DNA also determines their biological markers. And then as you find yourself in your whānau, in your ainga, in your community, you have certain ways of thinking and you have certain ways of engaging in emotion that kind of allows you to hold certain roles. It's not all societally, like
so you'll say like a female and a male. It's basically a male and a female, right? That's exactly, a man or woman, male or female. But in the Western world, that's even become complicated now.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take. Back 20 years ago, if a man went on a date, he's like, oh man, I can't wait to see this girl. Now, in this age, if you're going on a date, you're saying, I hope it's a girl. I hope it's a...
Rooster, 20 years ago.
Things have changed, man. I don't know how things have changed. It's like common sense has been not like they made Caitlyn Jenner Woman of the Year in 2015 at the Vanity Fair, and she was only a woman for 6 months.
Jeez, man.
That is a spit
That's
on
a
the
message.
face.
That's an agenda.
That's a spit on the face to real women, to the real feminist movement that fought on the streets, that bled on the streets, that marched on the streets and fought for womanhood, that fought for you, that went out there and fought for women to have a voice today. And they're like, oh, nah, the Woman of the Year goes to that guy who had a penis for like 40 years but decided that he was mental one day to go and become a girl, and now he's the Woman of the Year. So it's just, it's crazy. We need to go back to the gospel, but they're trying to stray us away from the gospel. We have the highest crime rates here in the Western world. There's no crime in the East. There's no crime in the United Arab Emirates because people are afraid to commit crimes. If you go into a messy house and then you eat food, you're just going to gongi your lapisi anywhere because the atmosphere is messy. If you go into a clean house and it's spotless, you would look for the rubbish to chuck the wrapper away because the atmosphere is clean. This is why people can just shit here in the West because the atmosphere is already dirty. So since it's dirty, we could still be messy. And the East Side, in the United Arabs of Emirates in Dubai, it's clean. So nobody wants to do bad. They respect it. So yeah, I think we just got to go back to gospel principles.
No, that's good also. But how do you combat that, Stephen? Because people might think, oh man, it's just too late. It's just gone too far. People are normalizing it now. Obviously, all that kind of stuff in terms of gay, lesbianism, transgender, all that kind of stuff. How do we combat that in this day and age, especially for our younger boys and our younger men?
I just think we got to bring it back to the gospel. I think it comes down to the parents. I think the parents need to bring them back to God. I think we need to start preaching more about the gospel, man. And that's basically the simple answer. It's that simple.
You know what I like about what you said is you said bring it back to the gospel, not bring it back to church, because sometimes the church mucks up the messages.
Yeah.
Hey, around the role of the dad or the man or the role of the woman.
Yeah.
So I like that you said bring it back to the fundamentals that
Correct.
sit in the book, which means people have to read the book so that they can interpret it and actually read what those roles are.
Exactly.
Because otherwise people are just like sheep. Whatever they're told, they go with it. If whatever they're told at church or whatever they're told on certain podcasts or on media, they go with that and they haven't actually done the work themselves. So there's an element of laziness as well that people aren't, admitting to be able to take charge of what their mandate or their mana is.
Yeah, and a lot of churches are government funded.
And what does that mean, Stephen?
So a lot of churches are government
Far
funded.
out. So
So
what does
that
that
the
mean?
only way they can get money from the government is that they adhere to a certain curriculum. And this is the reason why I'm going to give a shout out to Brian Tamaki and Destiny Church. We were talking about this today earlier on the podcast, as they're saying, all these pastors and that are saying, well, why do you go and step on the streets and fight for people's freedom and you're the one that's always getting arrested in terms of COVID and that? Because what other 5 hours are doing it? Well, he's the only 5 hour doing it.
But wasn't his church also doing all the vaccinations and stuff?
Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to understand. That we go back to the point of it's like, what other church is doing this shit? No other church is doing this. No people is doing all of this stuff and stepping out there and getting into it. Obviously, there are some things with Brian Tamaki that I don't agree with. Obviously, there are things that you don't agree with me. I don't think we'll ever live in a life where you agree with somebody 100%. But I admire his resolve and I admire his passion to go out there and fight. He said that he had a talk with other pastors and he told them to come and march with him. And they said, oh, we can't because we have a funding with the government and we can do this. That's what they said. And he told me this to my face. He said, oh, we can't because, the government, they do this, do that, do this. And then he said, well, so you guys are controlled. And they're like, no, well, we're not controlled. See, it's just,
We just need the money.
Yeah, we just need the money. So if you look at my content, it's a lonely content. You know how so many people do skits like Uskang and Terrell and all of that? They're all with like 20 guys. I think that's gay as hell. Like, honestly, I'm telling you this. If you're waking up every single day and saying, hey, babe, look, I'm going to go and meet up with 20 guys and we're going to do some skits. And then I'm going to be back. Then I'm going to wake up again and I'm going to see these 20 men again and we're going to record more clips.
What's gay? What's gay? The content or the...
No, the gay is how I'm meeting up with 20 guys. I ain't never going to meet up with 20 guys ever in my life, especially to record clips. That sounds gay enough.
Why do you think men need men like that?
I don't know, right? It's just weak. See, for my content, if you watch my content, right, it's just me. Nope. And it's crazy because a lot of these big names that I've mentioned, they message me in private and say, oh, man, I love your stuff. As soon as I say, oh, let's collab, they're like, oh, yeah, no, we'll see about that.
Why is that, Stephen?
Because remember, I have a reputation online and they don't want to take the heat and they're trying to keep PG and they're trying to, that's why I say people don't like to platform people like me because they're afraid of the general populace. But I'm always like, I don't care because I'm starting a podcast next year.
Oh,
and it's going to be called Get the Fuck Out of Your Feelings. And the goal is to get people that nobody would want to interview. Like I would, like if Hitler was alive, I would want to interview Hitler. If Genghis Khan was alive, I would, Osama bin Laden, I would want to interview. Because I feel everybody has a voice. And sometimes the reason why that person's a villain because you don't understand his story.
yeah.
One man's terrorist is also another man's freedom fighter. You know what I mean? So like, this is what I'm trying to say to somebody is like, if you can give somebody a voice, like I was watching the movie of the Joker recently. The reason why he became a Joker because he got bullied when he was young. But people only see what the Joker does wrong. Have you ever thought to talk to him about how he got bullied? So if you just understood every villain's every story, you would understand why they behave in that fashion. If you knew why everybody acted in that certain way, you would fall in love with them immediately. Would understand why, you know? The reason why this guy's an alcoholic because he came from a family of alcoholics. The reason why this person that was bullies other people because he was molested when he was young. There are certain stories that you just got to understand and don't just judge people just because of what they say. And usually the people they call crazy are the ones that are right. You know, like, because I would argue I haven't said anything wrong. Perhaps I could say it in a better way, in a more softer way. But I would say what I've said is just facts. And you can argue with it, but it's the truth. The truth is always the truth. I like to give the final advice because I give motivation. And I broke the internet at one point because I said depression is not real. And I said, get the fuck out of your feelings. And I broke the internet. New Zealand Mental Health messaged me. Everybody was messaging me, you know, take that video down. But I was like, I get straight to the final advice. The final advice is get the fuck out of your feelings. Because that is the final advice. I'll give you a prime example, yeah? So let's say your heart gets broken. Let's say my heart gets broken. Then I cry to my best friend. So I'm like, Uso, my heart's broken. Please help me. My friend is going to say, Uso, you're the amazing man. Stay strong. You know, give it to God. The next day I go back, Uso, my heart's broken. There's only so many times he can keep saying, Uso, stay strong. Uso, stay strong. If I keep coming to him every day, you know what he's going to say? So like, just get the fuck out of your feelings. So I just give the final advice. I get straight to the point. Because life is binary. You either wallow in your sorrows or you jump from your slump. That's literally it. For me, if I believed in depression, I'll be dead. Because nobody receives hate like me. I've had the police turn up to my house and had to do welfare checks on me to see if I committed suicide. I've had over 4,000 people try to stitch me. I've had people knock on my apartment. I've had people follow me behind my car. I've had people send death threats to my family. I've had people try to come and bully me on the street. If there's anybody that could say they're depressed, would be me. But I'm still here.
You know.
Because I'm the fucking man. And that's my duty. I'm the man. Like, you guys ain't gonna stop me. I'm a G. Like, I'm the man. And this is what I always say to people. It's like, stay strong, man. Keep doing you. Who cares? Because nobody cares about your feelings. Perhaps you can find somebody that will care for you for a good half an hour. But when you die, they have to prepare the me'ai for everybody to eat. And they're thinking about, when should I do my kangamea? Life moves on.
It does. So what's your story?
Yeah, that's what I say. Like my story is
your story, because
my story.
You've got some massive messages.
Yeah.
You're loud about it. You don't give a F who's listening, and you also believe.
Can I have more water, brother?
Yes.
You also believe in your truth.
Yeah.
And so you're right. We all have a voice. We all have perspective. And so you're teaching us, we need to hear the story. What's your story?
Yeah, my story is that I used to be very in my feelings. There was once upon a time I was in my feelings. And there's videos of me circulating where I was on a church conference where I was like, I almost committed suicide and blah, blah, blah. I was very much into my feelings. But then I realized, like, nobody's your biggest fan. Like, because the people who I kept on going to my mom. I was talking to you earlier about it. I would go to my mom and I would say, Mom, my girlfriend broke up with me. And my mom's a straight shooter. She raised 6 kids on her own. So she ain't got no time to like go into those mental health things. She just said, yeah, because look at you. Even I would be depressed and want to leave.
Sorry for laughing.
This is your mom. This is my mom. I remember I said to my mom, I love my mom dearly. I'll die for my mother. But the thing is, I remember I went to her and I said, Mom, my heart's broken. And then she goes like, this, son, because you're fat. Look at you. Look, you have to do something about it. And one person could take that bad. And I took that as like, well, it's all. It's true. If you're going to a job interview and you stand on dog shit and then I say you smell nice, am I actually a good friend?
No, you're not.
Yeah, if I told you, hey, sorry, you stood on dog shit, go and have a guy, you smell like shit, that's a good friend. Not the one that tries to cuddle you and everything. So I've just always realized that I look at the intention and I look at what they do. So my whole entire life, whenever I would go through situations, I realized that all I needed was me. That I was the only one at the end of the day that I couldn't lean on to anybody. So I prefer the struggles, man, because if it weren't for the struggles, I wouldn't find God. If it weren't for the struggles, I would have never found me. The greatest motivation for Stephen Setu is break my heart, because breaking my heart's the best motivation. Every rejection I've went through has been redirection. Every setback I went through has been comebacks. Every low light has been highlights. So if you're broken right now, hallelujah. But you got to do something about it. But we're living in this age now where people are saying, you got to know about your feelings. You got to know. That's great, but who cares? Because feelings don't matter at the end of the day. You die. And life is short. Look at Robin Williams, comedian, made people laugh for a living, had millions of dollars. He could buy sex. Could get any girl he wants. Rich man. But he committed suicide. Then you dive into his story and he went to therapy for 10 years. And when you go to therapy, they let you talk about the same shit. If I went to a therapy for 10 years talking about how depressed I am for 10 years, even I would want to hang myself. If he came into my facility and he came into me and he said, I'm depressed, Stephen, I'll be like, Sully, you're a millionaire, you got a lot of money, you make people laugh, you're a comedian, you're in a position where most people would die to be in your position, you got family, you got kids, you're an inspiration, get the fuck out of my office. And I can guarantee you'll still be here today. And that's all you need to hear. That's a real man's love. But instead, when they come in, tell me what happened last week, Thursday. How did you feel? Was your heart sore? No way. Okay, that's all. Come back next week and tell me the exact same story. But I say the best way to remove heartbreak and sadness is just action. Act. Move. That's it, because depression is a luxury, man. I wish I could lie in bed all day and do nothing and don't pay bills and sleep away my pain, because I feel sad every single day. But I'm here. Wow. I was watching this interview on Good Morning Show. I'll just say his name, Esau. You guys know Esau? The big overweight Tongan guy. Like, he's big overweight Tongan guy. He's tried to lose weight. He's had a 3-year overweight loss story, but he's still at the same size from 3 years ago. And he's been on every show. If you watch his podcast, or not his podcast, but every time he goes on a show, he's always like, I'm depressed. And I think people need to start, talking about our feelings. Depressed. And I honestly said, look at you. If I was living your life, I'll be depressed. Like, you're depressed because your situation is bad. It's like the same person that goes, well, I'm depressed because I don't have a job. Oh, so you're not depressed, you're just fucking lazy, because if you had a job, you wouldn't be depressed. Well, I'm depressed because I'm in jail. Oh, so now it's situational. Well then, but depression comes with a chemical imbalance. Well, how did that chemical imbalance come into place? Was he born with that? Or did that chemical imbalance come into place when his girlfriend broke up with him? That's why I'm saying it's all situational. You can give me depression and I'll still be the same. You wouldn't even tell I'm depressed. I'll still get up. I'll still do a life. I'll still carry on because I have duty to God and duty to my last name to be a man. And I will die as a man and I will stand tall. Brave is not only running into the battlefield not scared. Brave is also running into the battlefield scared.
That's brave.
That's brave. Because people get it all confused. So when people say, Stephen, you're trying to say be a robot. Like, no, not be a robot. Just say keep moving because nobody cares. You find someone that will talk about your feelings for an hour, but the 23 hours of your life, you have to deal with it. So who cares, man? Move on. Life is short.
Those are some big messages about depression. But what I'm hearing is moving, not just sitting in it. But you're also right. There's something that's broken that needs to be fixed, or something that's broken that they can't see. So there's a bit of a journey there. It's not just get out of your feelings, but you also have highlighted there's many people out there that are depressed, that are still getting up in the morning and still getting on with life. So I do want to acknowledge there's many more people that do that than not. So I think it's important to acknowledge that. But those are some pretty big messages. And so when you highlighted earlier, when you were younger and you had thoughts and you said that you remember seeing yourself in a video and then you had another moment when you told your mum that you were heartbroken and she turned around and said, snap the hell out of it. Like, and you kind of listened to that and that worked for you. Where was the turning point for you?
The turning point for me is when I knew that God lives within me. And the Bible says the same spirit that rose Jesus Christ from the cross lives within you. And then when I knew that lives within me, I knew I was unstoppable. And I realized that I am the problem. See, now we're going to go into a different rabbit hole right now. True accountability is when you can say, I am the problem in my life, 100%. Because if you can say you're the problem, by the same token, you're the solution. But the problem is not many people say they're the problem. They gaslight themselves and they hang around with people who gaslight them. And that's, they hang around with delusional people. I want to be around people that say, Sully, you're fucking up, man. You're better than this. Hurry up. That's the people who I hang out with. My also tells me every time when I don't train, he's like, Sully, this is why you're fat and you're going to lose your fight. Because I got a boxing match coming up. I can't talk about it. It's under contract, but I can tell you off camera. I can tell you who I'm going to fight off camera, but I can't say it on that because it's contract. But the thing is, it's like he would tell me to say, get up, man. You're useless. Hurry up, get up. And that's the people who I want to hang out with. I blame myself for everything. Everything. Like people say, well, I never knew my husband was going to leave me with 6 kids. Well, you decided to date him. Well, I didn't know my car was going to get stolen. Well, you chose an attractive car. I blame myself even if it rains. Because I'm like, I should have had an umbrella.
What about events you didn't have control on?
I feel like even if you don't have control of it, you can still try to make it seem like you do. If you can find a way that you can control it, then you can find a way and say, maybe this happened for a reason. When things happen in my life, I always say, God, what are you trying to teach me? I always say that. No matter how bad it may be, what are you trying to teach me, God? Are you trying to teach me patience? Are you trying to teach me how to build a mental fortitude? Are you trying to teach me how to forgive? Are you trying to teach me how to keep walking? I don't like to pass on the blame and say, well, it's not my fault. No, it's my fault. Because if I can say it's my fault, then I can change it. I can't change what I don't acknowledge. So I like to go through shit, because when I go through shit, I'm like, okay, cool. What do I have to do? If you pray to God for strength, He's not going to give you strength. He's going to put you shit where you have to create strength. So many people say, oh God, I pray to throw me into the deep end. You know that song, Oceans? Take me to the deep end of the water. And then they go into the deep end and they're like, oh God, now take me out of the deep end.
Why did you put me
Why
here?
did you chuck me in there? I can't swim. One of my pastors who passed away, a really great guy, he said the most dangerous prayer to pray is say, God, test me. Because if you say God test you, he doesn't forget your prayers, mate. He tests you. And so every time I go through a bad time in life, I embrace it. I love it. Pain builds men. So when people say, how do we create men? Through pain, through solitude. Men become men through pain. Men become men through loneliness, through trials and tribulations. That's how we become men. We don't become men when we just sit around and say, well, is your feeling sore? My one's too. That is not a man. You become men because you're like, is your feeling sore? You're a man. Okay, keep going. That's a man. That's the true essence of a man. You want to be a strong stoic man. You want to be the warrior in the garden, then the gardener in the war. And that's me. I always feel like I'm a man's man. If my parents passed away, God forbid, my sisters will never see me cry, ever. I would cry to my brothers. I feel if you're a man and you want to cry to your brothers. Cry to your brotherhood. Never cry to your woman. People say, but then the ladies are like, well, no, cry to me. No. I ain't going to cry to you because I'm your rock. I'm sorry, but I'm your rock and I'm always going to be your rock. And I'm always going to be your man. So if my sisters are crying, I'm going to stand there. And then I'll make sure that I will stand there solid while they cry. And then I'll go home and cry because it's my duty. And when something is a duty, it comes with no feelings. Like parents have a duty to look after their kids. I don't care how bad you feel. Don't commit suicide if you have kids. You're the most selfish man, the most selfish woman in the world if you commit suicide and you have kids. Because they never chose to be alive. They never told you guys to have sex and then now they have kids. And you go and commit suicide, you're a disgrace. Because you should have stayed for your kids. You have a duty. So for me, I'm like, I got a duty to be alive. I got a duty to be a man. So a man is, we go back into the humble thing. What is a man? Because you can identify as a man, but are you behaving like a man? So, and I'm not even saying this is like toxic masculinity. This is just masculinity. Because I want the people around me find safety within me. Because that's my duty. If God wanted me to be a woman, I would be a woman. But he said, no, Stephen, you've got to be a man. So I must perform as a man. I'm not going to waste this decision. I'm not going to put on a dress and then dye my hair blue and walk around with a pride flag, say I'm a girl, even though I got the tits, but still.
What were you going to say about the humble bit? Because you're right, there's masculinity, there's toxic masculinity, and then there's the opposite. Was that where you're going with the humility stuff?
You know why toxic masculinity exists? It's because masculinity is so rare now that whenever you talk about masculinity, they deem it toxic. That's why.
At what point do people start making it toxic?
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It's only become toxic because it's very rare. It's very rare. So anytime somebody talks about masculinity, they deem it toxic. They say, you can't be aggressive. You can't be angry. This whole civilization was built by angry and aggressive men. If men weren't angry and aggressive and disciplined and military-aged males, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be. Nobody would be here. They fought. They bled. So when people say you can't let men be angry and you can't let men, an angry man is toxic, no, that's our natural biology. But that's why I say as a man, you got to learn how to control it. You got to be a stoic man. The only reason why people love watching superhero movies is because the superhero goes through pain, but he deals with his pain.
It keeps going.
And keeps going. That's the only reason why people love superhero movies. Imagine watching a movie with a superhero and then he goes through pain and he's like, can you come and sit? Yeah, imagine Superman going like this, Batman. So, please, can you cradle me for a minute? Can we talk? Tell you I would want a refund.
Kissy Robin, kissy.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to watch this and they're going to just hear all the noise. Be prepared for the hate comments. There's going to be people that's going to watch me and be like, oh, what an idiot. He's fat. He's this, he's that. But they will never argue the message. They'll just come for my appearance because they know you can't argue the truth. So they would watch it, be prepared for the hate comments. There's going to be people that are also going to love me and then be like, oh, he's telling the truth. But there's going to be a huge populace that's just going to be out there going, this guy is stupid. Then you ask them, well, what did he say is stupid? I don't know. He's just stupid. They'll just say it for the sake of it.
Just because everyone else is.
But Stephen, man, you're ruffling some feathers right now. So, and in terms of some of the things you're saying, and a lot of people, especially for those who have the same mentality as the work mentality, the work thoughts, and the experience, and you're kind of flipping it for them, and people are like, man, what is he saying? Is this true? And so I want to get back to what you said in terms of the government and the 1% and the matrix, and they're the ones who kind of usurping manhood. Tell us, because people think, what does he mean by matrix? What does he mean by the 1%? Who are these people?
Yeah, I feel like without me trying to get too much airy-fairy and conspiratorial, and we all have to wear tinfoils on our heads. I don't want to start acting really Harry Potter in that. But to be honest, I feel like there is a group of people out there who doesn't really have your best interest, and they will trick you and they will incentivize you as a baby to do things. And I feel like government should never be involved with something that you decide with your own health, because it's our body, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
And they should have no judge over that. The moment somebody else says you have to do this with your body and that they don't live in your body, that's control. Because that's like me saying, Sully, you got to go and get a jab now. If you don't do it, I'm going to arrest you. You should never do that. So yeah, I always say to people, if you get something coming your way and you heard it from mainstream media, test it. Like, test it out. Don't just believe it, because it's not like the days of old of our parents. Say when they watched the news, it was textbook. It was like, okay, the news, Family news. Now it's like when the news will say something, we're like, bullshit. Why? Because we're more educated now. Our parents couldn't say bullshit, because they just saw what they saw. But now if we see one news outlet, we'll be like, okay, now let's look for another news outlet. And you'll realize they have different views.
Or the same.
Yeah. Or the same.
Script.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're living in an age of information. So I do think being ignorant's a choice now. If you're, and it goes back to like even 20 to 30 years ago, if the doctor would say something, you just believe what the doctor said. The doctor said you have cancer, you have this, you need this surgery. You just sign on the dotted line. But now if the doctor says you need to amputate your leg, you can say, okay, hold on, let me go and do some research. Let me go and talk to some people. Let me go and look around. Let me find a better doctor. And you would realize that there's more information out there. And this is the privilege we have in this world, is that we have the world at our fingertips. When people say, has the world gone worse? I just say, no, it's not gone worse. It's just been recorded. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because 20 years ago, we didn't know whether somebody got eaten by a crocodile. But now a 5-year-old knows if somebody got eaten by a crocodile because it's on Facebook. So the world is brought to our attention now. So the world, I would argue and say the world was worse back then because it had the Holocaust. It had, the Spanish flu that killed about 20% of the Samoan population. It had racism. So I would say the world was worse back then, but it only seems worse because we're getting information brought to us. Yeah. So without getting too working.
Yeah, because you didn't have that much media outlets back then, eh? You only had a couple of channels. You had one main news or two main news companies, and then now you've got a whole range of them. And you're right, we're seeing it all more now. But the copycat, hey, you see things, you see how everyone responds to it, then everyone jumps on, and then people are really losing sight of their capability to think and really make their own decisions. So when you say ignorance is a choice, I think, I don't know if it's a choice, it's like they're bombarded and they can't choose. Because there's so much coming their way that's like, do it this way, we're saying this, we're saying that. And so, I
agree with you. There's a lot of sheep. It's a lot of sheep. I think in the context what I said being ignorant is a choice is that if you're just going to follow the sheep, then you're ignorant because you have the decision to think. For me, whenever a topic is controversial, I like to ask why it's controversial. I don't just, like if somebody tells me don't walk into that room, I'll walk into that room to see why I can't walk into that room. That's me. That's Stephen Setu. I don't like to be told what not to do. I make my own decisions. So if somebody hates us, if a group of people hate a certain person, I'm just like, okay, well, why do they hate him? Then I start researching without emotions, because a lot of people, they garner their whole life around emotions. And I always say emotions are a great indicator, but not a great decision maker. You should never live from emotions, but it should indicate and make your decisions a little bit better. But that's why if you make decisions straight out of emotions, that saying comes in, was it an irrational decision? Because irrational decisions are only made out of emotional states. So I always like to do my research. I take away my emotions and I look at it from a bias, not a biased point of view. And then I make up my own decisions. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, so now I understand. So when people say, yeah, but a whole lot of people say that, and a whole lot of people hated Jesus Christ. A whole lot of people hated Martin Luther King. A whole lot of people hated Mahatma Gandhi. A whole lot of people hate the leader of the Mao movement. A whole lot of people hated everyone. Anyone who went against the grain, a whole lot of people hate them. But it's because a whole lot of people believe a whole lot of people. That's the reason why. So I'm just not a sheep. I like to make my own decisions. And I speak the way I speak is because I will die on the hill for my beliefs. I've had companies reach out to me and say, can you do an ad? But I want you to wear a t-shirt with a rainbow. Or I want you to wear this t-shirt, or I want you to do this hashtag. And I've turned it down, and it's thousands of dollars.
I was going to say.
Yeah, thousands of dollars, man. But it's like, I'm not gonna go against my belief. Like, no money will ever change me. And I know it sounds stupid, because sometimes people like my family, and they'll be like, that's life-changing money, or like that can help you in your certain situation. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to die with my morals. You know, would you guys make decisions that go against your morals?
No.
Oh, no, sure. Man.
Like if somebody came to your Mandate podcast and said, I want you guys to promote, you know, something that was completely off the table with what Mandate stood for, and you get 50K, would you guys do it?
No. And the cool thing is, I think we've got a really good network of people who think the same. They're very integral, great morals, you know, and do their work based on the issues at hand. So yeah, I wouldn't, but
Of course I wouldn't, obviously, because it's too much at stake. Self-vision and being integral, and so if that's gone, man, that's a waste of this. Gave me this a whole waste of time, this whole thing.
And you look in the and like you have to look in the mirror. Like you have to go to sleep knowing that you just went against yourself. Like lie to other people. Don't lie to yourself, man. Because that's the worst thing you could ever do. Like, don't lie to yourself. At least I can go to sleep at night knowing that I stay true to my heart. You know, not sleeping and going, oh man, I did something wrong. Like, it would eat me alive knowing that I went against my own morals. You know, people say, I want you to play the song. I want you to wear a dress. You know, all these certain things. And I'm like, I'm never going to wear a dress. I'm never going to do this. Never going to do that. But it is what it is. You know, you just got to stick to it. And the journey to truth is a hard journey, but it's the right journey. And if it means that I have to walk by myself and I have to be the Trojan horse, I have to be the one that leads, and then I die for that belief, but to funnel a whole new set of believers, then so be it. If I have to be the martyr, if I have to be the one that gets bruised and beaten and scorned and get my reputation tarnished online, then so be it. If that's going to change the course of history. You know, because a lot of people message me, man, and they, like I was talking to you earlier about it today, where I was like, people message me and say, you made me leave a 5-year toxic relationship. You know, they take photos of their wrist that's been cut, and they send it to me, and they said, I've dropped the knife. They said, your messages have told me to, like, never give up. So when people say, oh, there's a lot of haters that hate you, Stephen, I'm like, yeah, but I don't know those haters, but I know these stories. And these are the stories I do it for. I do it for them. Because even if it's one person, a whole family tree can come from one person. So if I change her thought pattern, then she has kids, and then those kids live a long life. The only reason why those kids had a life because I made that video. Because if I didn't make that video, she would have been gone. So by extension, that whole line would have been gone. So for me, I'm just like, as long as I get one person, it's fine. I've done my work.
do you read all your messages?
Nah, I don't have time to read all my messages. But I just know I'm on the right path. I always search my heart. And obviously when you speak the truth, people are going to try to come with bad accusations and allegations. But this is not new. This is the old playbook. Jesus Christ was preaching love, and they arrested him and they crucified him. They threw Nelson Mandela into prison. They shot Martin Luther King. Even now with Donald Trump, the whole situation there, they're throwing charges to him, 36 charges left, right, and center. Even Elon Musk right now, you know, he started inventing new things for AI and that. All of a sudden, he's got charges coming up for him. That's what happens. When you do something that goes against the grain, they label you the worst crimes in history, because that is how they try to remove your influence. They remove your influence by tarnishing your name. So when I get all these hate, I'm like, I'm in the right place. It's working. It's good. If I wasn't getting hate, then I feel like my influence is not that big. So the fact that I'm getting the hate just goes to show, okay, cool, because there has to be a balance. There has to be equal opposite force. So if I'm getting all this love and I'm getting this money and all this thing, there has to be some sort of hate for it. So I see it as a blessing. And it's a motivation, like, as well. Like, hate's amazing. I love hate. Do you guys love hate?
I'm a woman. We get some hate sometimes, and it hits.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. And then you just got to learn how to ignore it.
Yeah.
And like you said, just keep going. You know, like that's the reality of having these kind of platforms and doing the work that we do. You're going to get hate, and it hits.
Yeah.
You're still human, eh? You still feel it.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, you got to figure out whether you stay in it or you keep going.
Yeah. I always say opinions only matter from people who you love and respect. And hate never comes from below. It only comes from, hate never comes from above. It always comes from below. But if it does come from above, it's great promotion. You know what I mean? So if people are hating from you from above, then, oh, man, that's cool. You know, imagine Oprah Winfrey hating on you. It's like, oh, Oprah is hating on me, you know?
I cracked it.
Yeah, I made it. So, you know what I mean? So, like, I feel like opinions only matter from people who you love and respect. And that holds more precedent in my life than haters. So when people say, do the haters get on your nerves? I'm like, how? I don't know them. For me to hate you, I got to love you. Because you had to do something so painful to me for me to be really mad. Because for me to even get really mad at you, I have to love you. Like, you know, I have to really love you. Like if a good best friend of mine betrayed me, I'd be really mad. I would hate him because he was so close to me. But how can I hate someone I don't even know? They have a fake profile picture with a username that's long, like my Wi-Fi password. You know what I mean? And and remember, these people only see what I show them. So when they say this guy's Valea, this guy's dumb, I'm like, everything you watch is what I looked over and thoroughly thought and said, this is going to push your button and uploaded it. So if you're angry, you fell into my trap. I wanted to push your buttons. I wanted to get under your skin. So I just want people to understand that, like, hate is going to come, but every hate that, like, every brick that people's thrown at me, I've used it to build the empire of Stephen Setu. And I honestly feel like if it weren't for the haters, I probably wouldn't even have a brand. That's the reality, because it was the haters that made my name popular, not necessarily my fans. Because when a person agrees with your message, they just like it and share it. When a hater agrees with your message, they make a video about it. And then they'll tarnish you. And then they think making that video is going to create more haters, which it does, but at the same time, it also creates fans. Because people watch the video and say, no, I actually agree with Steven. And they're like, who is Steven? Then they watch my videos and they're like, okay, now I follow him. So I feel like haters are the reasons why I'm here. And usually haters are also undercover fans. They will never admit it. Like, I go live every single day and I would stay on for 4 to 5 hours, and people would come into my live and they would say on the very first minute, how can you watch him? He's so annoying. They would write that on the very first minute. When I go off my live on the 5th hour, they're still in there going, how can you watch him? I'm like, Sully, you've been in my life for 5 hours.
Says a lot.
Yeah. If I hated you, I would never watch the live at all. I can't stand to look at you if I hated you. So why are you there for 5 hours? How can you watch someone that you hate for 5 hours? They're undercover fans. They'll never admit it, but they will just watch it.
Wow.
You know, it's interesting, eh? You talk about feelings and you talk about how people should snap out of it, and yet your whole draw card is on feelings. Like, you piss people off, you freak them out, you scare them, you bring out all the emotions that actually trap people into this, I want more.
Yeah, because I know how
them.
useless people are. Well, not like, obviously I'm generalizing, but I know how I know how to use the internet. I know how to use social media, because social media in general is all about feelings. Everything is about feelings on social media. So that's the reason why people get angry at me. That's the reason why you guys have fans. But when you know how to control the storm, it's even more better. Because I see myself, since I can control my feelings, then I'm like, oh, I know how to create the storm to control their feelings and bring them to me. Because like, people will say to me, Stephen, why do you hate on people? And I'm like, it creates a stir. It creates a storm. But that's the whole point of the internet. The internet's everything is amplified on the internet. Everything. Even relationships are amplified. So like, I've seen relationships where they post up photos with their husband like that, and then they take the photo and they're like, oh, wow, they must have an amazing relationship. But behind closed doors, she's getting abused. And they're makiva, and they got so many cars on Chimana Finance, and they're taking these trips to Dubai. I didn't makiva Yeah, they don't know that everything's afterpay. They don't know their overdraft. They don't know Salvation Armies where they shop. All these things, but they just yeah, exactly. But everything's amplified online. Everything is amplified. You can live a life that you've never lived online. And that's why the internet's so cool. And that's why haters love that. People say, do I ever get like people come on the road? A very small amount where you would get hate. But majority of it's just love. I can't walk down the street without somebody asking for a photo. Now, my friend knows everywhere I go now, it's constant photos.
Yeah, wow.
At first, it was amazing, you know? When you first get your fan photo, you're like, oh, Tilly, I'm a celebrity. So I get it all the time. I hate it now, because it's like, I'm grateful. But there comes a point where you just want to like eat your KFC in silence. You know what I mean? There comes a point where you just want to do your whakao and no one has to see that you bought budget toilet paper.
Oh, don't they pay well?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like, you're carrying around it. Then like, even when I really Genesis Energy to pay my bill, I regret making my government name my name on TikTok. Because I should have had like an alias, you know, how like Cougar Boys or Goose Gang doesn't show their name,
Yeah.
But I said Stephen Setu because I never knew I was going to blow up, and that's my government name. So when I went and called into Genesis Energy to pay my arrears, they said, oh, search your account? What's your name? I go, Stephen with a V. And they go, your last name? I go, Setu. And they go, you're the guy off TikTok. I was like, they said, Geffy. I was like, can I have a new caller, please?
How does all of this affect your family?
Yeah,
Because
that's
you know,
how
we talk about Samoan, we talk about representing our family. You come out there with some pretty strong messages. What's the residue? You know, with your mom, your dad, your siblings, like because you know, on one hand, I can see you own your messages. You take responsibility. You walk out there and you're like, yeah, I said that. But then there's repercussions, right? So how does that land on your family, your ainga, and then how do they? Yeah,
my mom used to hate it whenever there was discord. And she'll say, son, do a different job. Then once I started getting money, she goes, I pray for you every day, son.
So money talks.
Yeah, that's it. She goes, I hate this job. And then as soon as she saw me getting money from this, she goes, you know, son, I always knew that day would come where you would be.
So is that not like a? Is that?
You're providing for the family. You're
Yeah,
providing for
right.
anger.
But you know,
man.
the thing is this, right? My family, of course they're family, so they're going to get emotional. If you guys went on Facebook or TikTok and you saw like a relative of yours or family that you guys really love and adore getting dragged online, it's human to be like, you want to fight, but I just tell them, don't read the comments. I just say, don't read the comments. And my mom, like, she's out, like, I see my cousins there fighting back in the comments. I'm like, don't, like, who cares? Just move on. So they've just learned just to, but they have said, makanga sometimes. They're like, you shouldn't be swearing like that and blah, blah, blah. But like I said, once I start getting the money and all of that, she's just, it's okay. That's how you silence them. Just here's 500, shut up.
But then that kind of, but then does that not also go against what we were talking about earlier? Like, we don't want to do things for money, but then when money comes in and then they're okay with it. Like,
I think money's just the bonus of everything. I think anything you do, I feel like if you're good at something, you should never do it for free. And I feel like money, like I would argue that I don't do things for money. I do things because I love to do it, but by default, you get money. So now I'm in a position now where I can bless people with my talent, which is crazy because I basically get paid to complain.
Are you serious?
Really?
So it's a full-time job now.
Yeah, it's a full-time job. Like I get paid. I'm a professional complainer. Like that's
Is that
crazy.
what you tell your family?
Yeah. So like I like when I really think of it, I'm like, I complain for a living. But and it's crazy that I've gone to a point now where I didn't even know that was gonna happen, but I'll just dive into this. Your gift will make room for you. That's actually a scripture in the Bible. Your gift will make room for you, not your passion. A lot of times people get passion and gift mistaken. Your passion can still be your gift, but most times people get so focused on a passion, they think it's their gift, but they're chasing a dream that never belonged to them. That's why if you watch American Idol or The Voice, you see those people come and they go, I'm passionate. I've been, singing, taking voice lessons, and they sing, they can't hold a tune because they're passionate.
Because of their talent.
Yeah, exactly. They're not gifted in that area. So for me, I never wanted to speak, but I always knew I was gifted in speaking because I would win speech competitions. And when we'd do like kaulokos and that for White Sunday, I would always want to ace mine. And I always loved reading. Cool. And so I was just like, you know what? I did a video randomly where I complained about something and then it went off. And then I was like, man, I think I found it. Because when I first started TikTok, I was dancing. Then I realized I couldn't dance.
But you're passionate about it.
Totally, I was passionate about it. I thought I was Michael Jackson. Totally, but I was Randy Jackson. So I realized I couldn't dance at all. But, it's been a journey and it's a hard journey. But, you're right with family. It's very hard with family too because my emotions are always in check. But when I go through a lot, my family sort of do get the repercussions of it. Even dating Steven Setu was hard. When you date Steven Setu as well, and it's just you're dating Steven Setu, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's the first thing. Like if you go to any Samoan family and then they say, oh, you got a boyfriend? You go, yeah, who is he? Steven Setu. They're like, what, the guy off TikTok? And they'll either say that or they'll be like, yeah, can you show me a picture? Then they show the TikTok and they're like, you're dating that, you know what I mean? So my name has already got a lot of stigma around it. But I like to say off camera, when you get to know my heart, I'm a really good person. Like if you really get to know my values and call me a loyal person, I would love on you, care for you, really good person. But obviously when I get on camera, this is my brand, this is my job. So you got to add in your little bit of theatrics and ambience and all of that. Then when the camera's cut off, you can still be a little bit laid back, But that's what it is. You just got to know when it's work and when to push it and when to go out and things like that.
Oh, that's good.
Is this your guys' full-time work?
No. We actually do something else as well, Stephen. We actually do, we run suicide intervention programs.
Yeah.
Workshops up and down the country. And so this is just a bonus as well. And so we're hoping one day that this will be a full-time or part of the full-time job as well. So we love it. It's all around the well-being, mental well-being, all that kind of stuff. And so, but yeah, I think you smashed everything in terms of mental well-being with smashing depression.
But I guess, with the, then you, I guess, because you see like Andrew Tate, for example, right? I hear some of the messages that you have. They're quite similar to his. But they're very loud, very bold, but very protective of their families. And so I guess I'm also hearing that there's a real awareness that while you hold this character and you are very open about where you stand on certain issues, and you're very vocal about it, and you also go for the A around it, you're also mindful that there's other people that you have to consider. And so I guess it comes down to how do they just all understand, or do you
they
have to
all
put
understand
things in place to protect them?
I feel like it's not as big as it may seem because a lot of times people think you must get a lot of hate in person. In reality, it's more love. Whenever they see my family, they know if my brothers and that, they'll be like, sorry, your brother's so funny. Because a lot of times people don't want to agree with me online because they get dragged online. They're secret fans. They keep their mouth shut. Because they say, oh, I don't want to say this, and then everybody comes for me. But they can say it in person. They would come up and say, oh, man, I love you, man. It's all love in real life. I would argue and say it's actually love. I didn't get any... Man, even when I went to... It's dangerous, obviously, because a lot of people know me. And I just feel like a lot of people knowing me is just dangerous in general. I went to the nightclub with my friends the other night for the first time in ages. And as soon as I walked in the nightclub, the bouncers knew me immediately. As soon as I walked in, the whole club went into like the golden arches at a McDonald's. It just turned into an M. The whole club just turned into an M. They were all asking for photos that the bouncers had to tell me to leave. They were protecting me from everyone because everyone stopped. They were all, Setu, a photo. So the bouncer said, so you might have to get out. It's just, you're stirring too much in here. But it was positive, but it was just too much. You know, I was disrupting the club. The nightclub just went frantic because they were like, hey, Setu. So it's love at the end of the day.
Cool.
But also as well, you're going to get hate regardless. Whether you do good or bad. You know, my one is just more hate, obviously. I get more hate doing my content. You're going to get hate regardless, whether you do good or bad. You donate $1 million to charity, they'll say, why didn't you donate to 2 million? Why didn't you donate to 3 million? You know, you preach the gospel about grace and love and peace, and then people say, well, you're not being hard on repentance. You're not being hard on hell and things like that. So whatever you do, you're going to have a huge contingent of people that's going to disagree with your narrative anyway. So you might as well just be you.
Yeah. Because what do you think people love? What do you think people love? Is it that they love your message? Is it they love your approach? Is it that they love to see masculinity in action? What do you think they love?
The main common thing I get a lot is people say they love that I speak for them.
Wow.
Because I feel like I say what a lot of people think, but they don't have a platform to say it, or they don't have the boldness to say it. So a lot of people would message me and say, man, I was waiting for someone to say this. You know? Like I stuck up for Miss Samoa the time.
Latara.
I did a video about her. She messaged me crying, saying thank you.
What was the issue?
No, not Litara. Sorry, not Litara messaged me. Heilani Kurupu messaged me, and she was thankful. She was thankful, and she sent me. She added me on Instagram. You know, things like that. So people got to understand that I'm not actually the bad guy, but they can't filter the noise. They can't filter the loudness and the screaming and the yelling. So when they just see it, they're like, oh, ingo. But if you just say, you know what, I'm going to sit here and just going to watch. Like I'm watching a movie. No emotions, no nothing, and just watch it. You'd be like, yeah, so. He's correct. You know, and now I'm seeing a lot of people say, I used to hate this guy, man, but I love this guy now, man. And I think that's what it is. I think that's why they love me, is because I'm their mouthpiece.
Yeah.
You know, that's why whenever something bad happens in the Polynesian culture, look at the comments. My name is the most tagged. Anything that happens in the Polynesian culture, look at the comments. It would say, I want to hear Stephen Setu's opinion. Yeah. Someone send us to Stephen Setu. Stephen Setu, we need your opinion. When I did the one about the humble, the video, look at the comments and saying, finally I can go to sleep. Finally I can sleep now that I've heard your opinion.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, look at my comments. You'll see people say, I can go to sleep now.
No, I saw Stephen. I was saying, hey, what is Stephen going to say about this?
People want to know my voice now. They want to know what I think, because I feel like I'm very, I feel like since I'm not very much of I don't lean to which side the most. I lean basically to the gospel. That's my standard. But I can make I think my opinion is valid because my opinion is no filtered. Because I would rather trust somebody who's very loud and just straight to the point than someone who tries to disguise everything in love. That's why even with the elections now that's happening in the United States of America, like Donald Trump, yeah, I'm not saying he's an angel and I'm not saying he's a saint, but I'd rather go for somebody who says it and means it. Because Kamala Harris, you don't know what she's saying sometimes. She says one thing and then the other thing, she's saying the other thing, and she changes her accent when she's with black people, then she changes her accents when she's with Mexicans.
She's black now.
Yeah, that's it. She's black, she's Indian, she's Texan, she's one day, she's everything. So when people say, who do you vote for? I'll be like, I'll vote for Donald Trump basically on that. Because I would go for someone who just says it how it is. I'm not saying that I agree with everything, but he's the lesser of both evils.
Yeah. He doesn't have much of a contender.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have really much of a contender. So that's why for me personally, is like if somebody can say something and really mean it, That's enough for me to be like, whoa, yeah, you got my praise. I might not necessarily agree with you, but I can always respect someone that will say something and mean it. Because your opinion only matters if you believe it. If you say something and you can't back it up, like people say, are you afraid of somebody might beating you up? And then I get beaten up. You know, they say, well, yeah, but you're not afraid that you might die, somebody might shoot you or something. Then I die. You know, because it is what it is. I chose this life. I know what comes with it. And I'm willing to die on the sword. That's the life I live. But I'm very grateful to God that nothing has ever happened in that way. And I'm very grateful that the feedback has been very awesome. But yeah, I'm glad that I can be on more podcasts now and start speaking this way, because now that I'm speaking this way, people are just like, they're getting it now. They're understanding it, because it's really hard to get to know my personality by watching my videos. But when you hear me on a podcast, then you're like, oh, yeah, I get it, because he's explaining more. Because on TikTok, it's like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes. Yeah, man, I don't know if I've been dragging. I know there's a lot of questions.
No. It's just a basis, but I love it. I love what you're saying, and we could just sit and just listen, because I love it that you, like you said, like I said early on, you stand by your convictions, you stand by your beliefs, and you don't shy away from it. And that's rare. That's kind of quite rare sometimes. And you said that you have some people who secretly admire you, and they're like, man, thank you for speaking on my behalf. I love what you're saying. But a lot of people, which tells you what, Steve, that a lot of people are like, oh, I can't say this because of this and that. But you're not afraid to ruffle the feathers. You're not afraid to call people out. And so I'm just wondering also, in terms of the end game or the vision and the goal, are you trying to enlighten people towards the truth? Because we talked about people being sheep. But what's the goal? Are you trying to get people to think for themselves, critically think, empirically think? What's the goal in terms of you doing what you do?
Yeah, it's a complicated web, because I feel like everything is correct what you just said. I want people to think for themselves. I want people to hear the truth. I want to call people out on their bullshit. So I think it's multifactorial. It's not just one answer. It's a whole heap of answers. And also as well, I want to get, like, my goal is to have my own show, sort of like Alex Jones. You know, guys know Alex Jones, like Piers Morgan, shows like that, where I almost become a political figure, not a person in politics, but somebody who speaks. But I understand the greater the level, the bigger the devil. Right now, it's just haters. But I know once you start talking against governments, you're now dealing with lawfare. You're now dealing with, you know, lawyers and court systems and things like that. So that's scary.
Yeah.
But, you know, if God wants me to be there, I'll be there.
Yeah.
So that's the end goal. My podcast is starting next year. So that's going to be a nice one. And I feel like it's going to change the game, because the podcast I'm going to do now is like, I feel like in New Zealand, podcast is very oversaturated.
Yeah.
Because we're living in a situation now where somebody will say, Soli, you're really good at speaking. And then they think they can create a podcast. It's like somebody goes, Soli, you make good 2-minute noodles. Yeah, I'm becoming a chef, opening a restaurant. You know what I mean? So I feel like anyone's just like starting shit.
Yeah.
And if you start shit, you oversaturate it. So I could have started a podcast ages ago. You know, I have the influence, I have the followers, I have the people. People agree with what I'm saying. Why shouldn't I not start it ages ago? But I know it takes time. And I know when I launch, it's going to be strong and it's going to hit hard. And I'm going to have podcasts where we have debates. You know, where we're going to get Afakasis and full Samoans, or we're going to...
New Zealand
we're going to get... Yeah,
Why did you point at me?
And then we're going to have women versus men.
Yeah.
And we're going to... And I also feel like a lot of our Polynesian podcasts as well, it's too... radio TV show, like, hey, welcome, you know, to the radio show. How's your day going? How's it this and that? But I honestly think when you look at the name podcast, you're on a pod and you're casting your opinions. And I feel like on a pod, that's the separation between a podcast and a radio show. So a radio show has a flow, whereas the podcast, it's different nuances. There's so many different things. That's why people say, all of us, people say when you go on a podcast, you become like a smart person because everybody's saying quotes and everything. Have you noticed that? When people come on podcasts, they all of a sudden think they're Albert Einstein or something. Like they have all these quotes. It's because that's what the podcast is for. It's for people to finally come and share their opinions and that. So I can't wait till my podcast comes next year. It's going to be a crazy... Brian Tamaki has agreed to come on it and stuff like that, which is going to be another cool one because I feel like when he goes onto podcasts, people would disagree with him or they have loaded questions. Whereas for my one, I'm going to be on his side. So we're going to talk about everything in there. So, you know, you guys should try to get him on too. Apostle Brian, I think that would be nice.
I'd love to get him on.
Yeah, get him on. Heard him. I think it would be awesome for you. It was a good story. But yeah, no, that's the plan for me. Awesome. And it's a scary journey, but it's a riveting journey, and it's a like fun journey. Because if it's scary, I love it. Because everything you want is behind fear. You know, and that comes back down to masculinity, you know. People are just scared to do things that they when they're scared, they don't want to do things.
Yeah.
But, you know, back in the days of old, in the days of the empire, people would look at a whole piece of land and be like, we are going to conquer that land. They don't even know who's in that land. But they just say, we're going to conquer that land. The fear excited them.
Yeah.
We need to bring that back. When people say, don't jump, I'm like, oh, I'm jumping.
I hope I land.
Yeah, if I land, well, I'll make an earthquake, I'm jumping. That's what it is. You just got to bring that fear. Like, fear excites me. The unknown excites me. Yeah, so you got to get back to that essence. That it's cool jumping into the deep end, because uncomfortability is what creates character. You know, that's what creates a strong version of you. If you're sheltered, you're always going to be weak. I feel like you need to go through enough pain to handle pain.
Yeah.
You know, when babies get teething, the reason why they're in so much pain, it's not because that's really painful. It's because that's the only painful experience that they've experienced at that time. So in the same way, the only reason why your situation is probably the most painful is because this is the only painful thing that you've been going through. The reason why I can't feel pain, because I've been through so much pain. And real pain is silent. Real pain is quiet. Real pain, you don't want to talk to nobody. So I've been through pain. So when people try to yell and hate on me and say all these things, man, I'm like, I've had my life almost get taken away from me. And you ever hear crying because a girl left you? Like, come on, pick your balls up, move. Like, they're like, I always say, go to the hospital, stand in front of those cancer patients and tell them how hard your life is. And you would be embarrassed. They would want to switch lives with you. There are people in the Middle East right now, their parents are blown into smithereens. And you're crying because you got fired from a job. When you put things into perspective, you realize that you're actually blessed. So I've always realized that when I go through shit, I'm just like, well, there's someone going through worse, just keep going. And you build the attitude of gratitude. And everything leaves you. Everything leaves you. I always say this, everything leaves you. Your wife will leave you one day, whether it's by death, whether it's she walks out, whether whatever, but everything leaves you. Everything is rented. Your body is rented. Everything is rented. Everything leaves you. So why be mad when it leaves you early if it was going to leave you eventually? Everything just leaves. So when somebody walks out of my life, I'm like, cool. Well, they left early. Thank you. Because they were going to leave eventually. They just left earlier. Just let them leave. And just life goes on.
Where did you learn that?
I've just been reading, watching a lot of things. Yeah, I read a lot, and I read a lot, and I watch a lot of. I like to test my own thoughts, and one thing about me is I'm very open-minded. So like, there are debates that happen on social media, like where they would get like Satanists up there, and I would sit in podcasts with Satanists as the Christian and just sit there and listen. I won't even debate them. I'll just listen.
Yeah.
Because when you listen, you learn more, and you understand the psyche. That's why, but a lot of people say, well, I'm not a Satanist, I'm not going to. It's like, yeah, but then you're never going to understand. Like, I can sit in a room with skinny personal trainers, even though I'm there eating KFC and that, but just understanding their psyche, you know? So I just say at the end of the day, you got to be more open to people's talanoa and people's kōrero. That's why I said to take away hate speech is more hate speech. That's why when somebody makes a hate speech on my hate speech, I'm like, it's okay. Because that's how you conquer hate speech. The moment you suppress a voice, that's bad. You should never suppress somebody's voice. Because who said you're the arbiter of truth? Who said you're the one that makes the decision on what goes and what's not? You just keep going until somebody builds the bridge.
It's good.
Yeah.
You just keep building. And everybody has everybody's guaranteed a bad day. Everybody in this room's guaranteed a bad day. Either you're going to die or somebody you love's going to die.
Tell me about it.
Everybody's guaranteed a bad day. So why are you sad now? Like, why are you sad now if you're guaranteed a bad day? Somebody you love's going to die or you're going to die, and you're here crying about somebody broke your heart. You're here crying because you got laid off from a job. You're crying because of somebody bad comment. It's just like, get over it, man, because like you're going to have a bad day, and when that bad day comes, you would remember it. So why would you want to start your bad day now? And I would also argue that you're always happy. I would like think about it, right? Are you sad now? You're not sad, right? You're not sad. You're not sad. If we're not sad now, then what's the opposite of sad? Happy. So every day we're happy. Majority of our life we're happy. But people don't know that. Because if you're not sad, then by extension, you're happy. But people don't think that they're happy is enough. They're saying, oh, it's not enough. And the reason why they think it's not enough is because they're not grateful. Because if they were grateful, they will know this happiness is enough.
Wow. Yeah.
But they're not grateful. They say, oh, I want like an adrenaline feel. I want to be in joy and be this. Look around, man. Still got a life. Parents are still alive. You know, you still got food in the cupboard. You got clothes on your back. Got a roof over your head. Be happy. But, you know, they always want to say, well, I'm not living my best life. No, enjoy what you have now, man. If you don't enjoy what you have now, you're never going to enjoy new things that come into your life.
Yeah, man, all levels. Hey, I just want to go back to what you were saying, Stephen. You said obviously people need to have some real discourse dialogue, all that kind of stuff. I saw, I don't know if it was a true beef between you and this Tongan guy. The Tongan guy with the food.
Yeah, the guy that
was it actual beef, or was it? Or did you guys kind of work it out? I know you guys were kind of like doing clips, content, back and forth.
Yeah.
What was? Maybe you could
Yeah,
explain.
how that started was it was a joke. I did a video where he said Samoans have a small sausage, and so I made a video saying that we got an anaconda and he's got a horsey, and our anaconda's massive. Obviously, that's very true because you know I do have an anaconda. For anyone that's asking, you gotta pay for it now. But so when I said that, obviously it's a joke, and everybody will know it's a joke. Come on, man, you guys know it's a joke.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't think I'm carrying a python, you know.
Dreams are free, man.
Yeah, dreams are free. Dreams are free. But I did that video, and then he replied back. He replied back, and he goes, "Oh, come on, Stephen, your stomach is," because he's a fob, right? He's fresh. He's like, "Come on, Stephen, you don't have the long snake because your stomach is a wappo." So he went personal, right? So he's mocking me being fat. So I said, "Okay, I'm coming for his English," but as a joke. So I go, oh yeah, so you know, go and learn how to speak English because I can't hear you. But I said that as a joke. I go, I'm not going to entertain that. I don't understand. Go get some English lessons. So as soon as I said that, you'd think I told him to tell his family to unalive themselves, because he came back and said, you are a rapist, you're a this and that, you're a this and that, you are this. I'm like, Tony, I'm like, where did this come from? And then he started saying rumors that get circulated and accusations that mean nothing. And obviously the internet, nobody does investigations.
No.
Like I can guarantee if you guys made a video right now after this, it said Stephen came to the podcast and stole everything out of the fridge, and you made a video about it, people just believe it. People would say, Soli, give mandates food back. You know what I mean? Even though it didn't happen, they're just going to believe it. So he said these accusations, not knowing that it's going to tarnish my reputation, but I'm built different. I'm the man, so it doesn't care. But he did it. And then I was just, everybody was coming saying, you're a rapist, you're this and that, you're this and that. And then literally after when that finished, he messaged me like about, I think last month, I even still got the message where he's like, also, do you want to do a TikTok battle so that way we could get money and like people can, you know, send us gifts and we can have Samoa versus Tonga? And I was like, so you ruined my reputation.
Bro.
And you want to come here and try to use me to That's just crazy, man. He got too emotional. I said he couldn't speak English. And then he goes, I took it personal. But he took it personal. He said something about my weight. I said we had an anaconda and you guys have the horsey. And he said Samoans has something small. So he started off the dick jokes.
Yeah.
Then I followed back with dick jokes. And then he said, your stomach wobbles. I was like, oh, yeah, see?
Yeah.
He just went straight personal. So, yeah, but, everybody likes drama because it's free entertainment. And that's when only Samoans and that love stuff, eh? They only love it when it's drama.
Because I actually thought it was you guys were, they must be collaborating together or something, but I didn't know it was like actual.
Yeah.
The man was actually after you.
I always find it weird when people start beefing with me online because I'm like, what have I done? Like and I'm usually not the one that switches because I'm very strong on loyalty. There's one thing about me is loyalty to me is everything. And I even say loyalty is even dark because there are people that are only loyal when it's good. But loyalty is when you're probably one person you love does something so bad. Are you still going to be loyal? So that's true loyalty, right? Like, I only like to hang around with people, like, if something really bad happened, I come into the house and I say, hey, don't ask me any questions. We're going to go to this house. And they're like, okay, cool, what car we're taking? That's the loyalty I like. There's a body here. Okay, where do we take it? Obviously that would never happen. But I'm just saying, that's the extreme loyalty I'm talking about. So I would never snake anyone. So when people say, well, there's this rumor here, your best friend, because there's a video of somebody saying, I know Stephen back in the days, and they used to go to Countdown and Pack and Save and scab for money out on the street and ask for money. I'm like, do you really think I would go out on the street with my face on TikTok and ask people for $20 and $10? And then another person made a video saying he went and took a loan out of my name. And I'm like, when you take a loan out of somebody's name, you need photo ID.
Yeah, you ID, yeah.
You need 2 photo IDs or even like a birth certificate. How the hell am I supposed to get all of your IDs in there and I don't look like you? You're half my size. It's like people just don't think. And then this one girl made a video with a hoodie over her face, covering her eyes with background music. And she was going, Stephen came into my house, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're not even showing your face. Wow. And then she said, I knew he was a creep, but I made him sleep over the house. And I was like, wait, so you knew I was a creep, yet you let me sleep over the house? But people don't break down videos like that. They just take it. But so, and why would you make a hate video to Stephen? Because it would be the most viewed video. Why not? Look at their profile picture. Look at their profile. 0 views, 0 views, 0 views. Video about Stephen, 30,000 views. Why wouldn't you want to make a video about me? Like, if you know you're going to get 30,000, there's like 2 pages that are dedicated to trying to expose Stephen Setu. I'm not going to say their names because I'm not going to give a free advertisement.
Yeah,
but there are pages that try to like come up with these heinous rumors, like me being a kitty fiddler, a pedophile. That's disgusting. Like, that's disgusting. And they're coming up with all these rumors and trying to throw it at me. And there's no proof. I did a speech to a bunch of students. I went and did a speech to a bunch of students. You don't think that those companies don't vet the people before they come and speak to students? Oh, he's a pedophile. Cool, let him speak to the students. Like, you don't think those companies go and vet their person who's coming onto the show? People just don't use their brains. And I realized there's no reasoning with haters. You can't reason with haters. So the only way out is through. Because you can't reason it. So when people say, this guy's a moikolo, I'm like, yeah, I am. I'll come there and moikolo your dad.
That hurts.
Because the only way out is through now. Because I try to do those ones. Look, I'm not. But if you keep saying you're not, they're like guilty.
True,
No matter what you say, if somebody hates you, you could give them all the evidence in the world and they'll still hate you. So why would I waste my time and energy trying to prove you wrong when you're not going to believe me? So I'm just going to play along with it. This guy's a rapist. I say, yeah, I'll come and rape your ass. Because I just do it. And I realize when I agree with their narrative, all of a sudden they can't attack me. So,
well, what if they say, yeah, come and do it?
That's what
if they say,
like,
come and
then I say, give me the address. So there was this person that I did a live and he commented underneath and he goes, Stephen's got a small dick. And I said, yes, I do. Small as. And then he goes, yeah, small like my pinky finger. And I go, nah, it's smaller than that. And then when I said that, he wrote and he goes, dry, not even funny. And I said, why are you saying it's dry, not even funny when you accused me of it and I agree?
Bro, some people, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what. Or they say, Stephen, you're fat. And I go, yes, I am fat. And they go, try it. I'm like, but you said I was fat. Because they want me to react.
Yeah, they want you to react.
They want me to be
That's
mad.
true.
Yeah.
But if I agree, so like when I went on my Instagram live and I went on for ages, everybody's like, this guy, you guys, are you a loser or are you this and that? I was like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I just joke along with it. And then they're like, oh, this guy's feelings are untouchable. This guy's, because it doesn't matter because I don't know you. You don't know me. So your opinions don't stick. Like if my mom had an opinion about me, that will trump more than 1 million opinions said about me from haters.
Yeah.
Like my mom one time came up to me and said, son, are the rumors true? And that hurt. That hurt more than 10,000 haters telling me are the rumors true. Because my mom's close to me. I was like, you should know me. And that took a toll on me because that's why I said opinions only matter from people who you love and respect. So I don't care if like 1 million people believe I'm a certain way because I'm like, I don't know you guys. You know, I don't know you guys. But as soon as my mom comes or my brothers and siblings come, that's when I'm like, okay, I will only explain myself to my close people. I'll never explain myself to, and no one will believe it. Imagine me sitting in front of a camera saying, so this is how the story went.
Yeah.
And whatever you say will be used against you. So if you say something, they'll be like, yeah, but he said this. See, he said, and then they'll clip that part. So I just realized don't try to reason with haters. The only way out is through. And play along with it.
Yeah, just stand in it.
Because they can't attack you when you attack yourself. That's why I honestly think I can't be cancelled. I'm probably the person who I can't be cancelled because I cancel myself. And because the haters use the most heinous crime in the whole entire world, which is a pedophile. I would argue that's the most disgusting, heinous crime to ever label anybody. You go into jail for murder, you're praised. You go into jail for being a pedophile, you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead.
So for them they used their last bullet in their gun, so to speak, and they shot it at me. And they said, this will bring Stephen, this will end him. They shot it and I'm still here, standing here, unfazed. Nobody believes it. So no matter, they can't, what other rumor can they say? The only thing worse than being accused of being a pedophile is actually being caught being a pedophile. So since I know I'm not a pedophile and nothing's ever going to happen, they can't use another weapon that's stronger than that because there's no other crime that's stronger than that. So they've used their weapon. Like imagine being a hater and saying, well, what else can we do? Because we said he's a pedophile, we say he's a fraud, we say he's a scammer, we say he's this, but people still love him. We need to come up with more. And that's what I'm saying. When the rumors don't work, they start spreading lies.
Who do you think is, when you get to that level of desperation, is that a different body, do you think? Or rather than
to be honest,
people?
it's just people who just want likes. That's it. Likes and views and fame. And it's so sad.
Dumb.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Like imagine how sad you have to be.
Yeah.
That the only excitement you get
It's calling you a pedophile.
is calling someone you have no idea who he is, a pedophile. Like this one person said, I know Stephen, he used to work at Converse and he started like lying up against the manager and then he came into work the next day. And I'm like, if I lied up against the manager without her consent, you think I'll still be at work?
You're in jail.
They said, and he came into work the next day and didn't apologize. I said, so what? The manager just said, oh, come back into work the next day.
Man.
People think.
Yeah.
People just don't think. They're so fucking dumb. And they're so dumb. Like, honestly, that's why when anyone says anything, I don't judge anyone by rumors. I judge it by how you treat me. Like, if somebody says, Soli, I know this person, I know Petia, I was like, yeah, that's cool. Well, I don't know him that way. If you want to know him that way, yeah, you know him that. I know him as the guy from Monday. We had a good conversation. That's it. But so many people, they believe other people's opinions. What about you guys? Are you those people that just believe anything anybody says? Or are you those type of people that have to get to know that person and you go,
Yeah. I'm all about the backdrop. I'm all about the why. I want to know the whole person, which is why when that thing came out last week and everyone was jumping on, I was like, oh my gosh, read the whole thing. Read the full podcast before you jump on there. Get the context.
Exactly. And like, if you disagree with Hannah's opinion, come after the opinion and tell why you would disagree with it. But the moment you start trying to throw things around and try to bring up her past and try to do this, then it's no longer about the opinion no more.
They're saying no walking.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's no longer about their opinion no more. And you can't say, how dare she says that about polys? Polys should love each other. Then why are you bringing her down, Sid? Because she's a poly
point,
too.
Man. Good point, Oos.
You can't say, I hate racism, and then go to the dairy and say, you curry muncher? You know what I mean? You can't pick and choose what racism is. The same people that tell me to take my videos down because they say, Stephen, it's cyberbullying. Do you know the people tell me, Stephen, take those videos down because it's cyberbullying, are the same people when I look people exposing me or try to say hate on me, they're in the comments saying, get him, hate on Stephen. I'm like, wait, so you're telling me to take my videos down for cyberbullying, but you're not saying it's cyberbullying when people are cyberbullying me.
Yeah.
Interesting, eh?
That's what I'm saying. So it's, they pick and choose. If you want to be something, be all in. Be all in. Call it out for everything. You can't just pick and choose. Call it out for everything. But the people are just sheep, man. It's just straight up sheep.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's it. They're too lazy to do investigations. Honestly, I'm one of the people that somebody could tell me a million things about someone and I'll just like, oh yeah, nice. And that's it. And then just still meet up with the person. Nothing would change. Until you fuck me over, then I make a decision.
Hard up, yeah.
That's me. Until you do something that betrays my trust, then I'll say, maybe they were right about the reverse. Maybe they were right.
Well, so.
I was like, I knew it was right. But nah, other than that, man, I ain't going to judge you. And I hope that when I leave here, that you guys can get a different perspective of Stephen Setu. And then and somebody will say, man, that's Stephen guy. And you guys will say, we've talked to him.
Yeah.
And we've been with the Uso. And honestly, like he's just real. When you talk to him, and you guys got a stronger version of me. So when somebody will say a hate about me, you can just say, well, do you know him or nah? Or where did you hear this? Or we heard it from someone. Well, I've sat down with them longer than an hour. We've had courted, we've had an actual tell-no. We've talked. He shared his life story. So would you rather believe an opinion from me about Stephen Setu or opinion from a hater who doesn't know him? You know what I mean? So I just think people just got to know that not everything online is true because they manipulate everything online.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man.
And remember, we're living in a world now with AI now, artificial intelligence, where they can take what you say and cut it into pieces and then compress it and make it sound like you've said something completely different.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've experienced it, Stephen. Some people obviously have got you on board on a podcast, whatever, and all of a sudden they say, oh, "Okay, let's do this," and then you look at you view it like, "Hey, wait a minute, I didn't even say that."
Yeah, I said I never said that. Yeah, like they would make it look like I'm stupid or I don't know what I'm saying, or I would say something, I would answer a question, and then they would mince two questions as one answer. So like I answered two questions, but they would grab my answer from the first question, the answer for the second question, mince it and answer in one question. But that just shows control, eh?
Yeah.
That shows control. And it's sad that people have to do that. It's like, if you believe in your principles, why would you have to try to manipulate it? Like I'm not telling you to agree with me 100%, but at least let me speak, man. Like at least let me share my view. And I hope, guys, that there's some stuff that gets cut out of here.
No,
man.
You know what I mean? Obviously, if you want to just refine it a little bit with the swears, or you can beat it out.
Nothing gets edited.
Oh, nice.
He's the production guy.
There we go. Yeah, I just, because that just shows the character of Mandate. And that's a beautiful thing because you guys are not trying to control narratives. Everybody has a voice and everybody's voice matters despite where you come from. That's why I can't wait, to plug in my podcast again when it starts next year. I'm going to have people there that they're like, so where are you platforming? I went on the Breaking Waves podcast about a month ago when they got word that Stephen Setu was coming on. They tried to not make me go on. They said, why would you get somebody who's an alleged pedophile? Why would you get someone that he speaks in this and blah, blah, blah? And if you look at their views, they have all these people like top scholar, good doctor from Tonga. It's a great podcast, whatever. But their views are like 200 views, 400 views, 600 views, blah, blah, blah. Hey, so the so-called people they want a platform, they don't even maka.
Yeah.
They want to platform these people. They don't even want to watch. And then guess what? I went on the Breaking Waves podcast And I went on there and I said, this is going to be the most viewed podcast. And in 1 month, it's the most viewed. 12,000.
No,
14,000.
it's up also. It was 15. I think it's 15.
Yeah, it's 15,000. 15,000 in 1 month.
Wow.
Wait, yeah, 1 month. 15,000.
So this is the kind of things people want to hear.
Yeah.
They want to hear just
So much for not
unfiltered.
platforming me. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So all those, imagine if Breaking Waves just said, okay, we're not going to platform Steven. That's 15,000 eyes not watching. I bought 15,000 people was a stadium. I basically bought a stadium to watch your podcast, and you were not going to platform me because I didn't go against your narratives. And the people you want to platform are at 200 views. You don't even want to watch the people you want to platform.
Hey, I'm betting on you. This is going to be 100 Ks here, man. 100 Ks on this one, man.
That's what I'm saying. See, so people want to watch it. You know, people want to watch it because whether people like to admit it or not, they are a fan.
Yeah.
They know wherever Steven is, there's a lot of stuff there. No matter whether you hate me, whether you like me, wherever Steven is, there's drama and there's action and there's theatrics. That's why it's like a car crash. Not many people like a car crash. But when a car crash happens, they're like this. They're watching. They're looking at the car crash. Even though the car crash is gruesome and disgusting, but they're just watching. Because that's like Steve. That's the best way to describe it. It's like a car crash. People love watching the car crash. Some people hate watching the car crash, but they're nosy because it's car crash.
Because you know when you say those words, you know how you talk on your clips and how you end it. Yeah. Man, you sound like what we grew up on, you know, like these are our aunties, our grandmas, they're just okay. Like you just say it with the same gusto. And so I was like, who are you? Who are you?
You know what you're impersonating? You know what's so funny?
Is it your mom?
The thing is, this is how us Samoans speak behind closed doors. Hey, we speak like this in our family homes. So then when people say, "Okale makanga," I'm like, yeah, but you do worse behind your family doors. You sleep with your cousin. What are you talking about? You stole the coupe from the church. What are you talking about? So, you know, when they try to be these like goody two-shoes and try to bring me down, I'm like, I'm just saying what you guys are afraid to do. Yeah. You know, because I'm sort of breaking the cultural social norms, because it's makanga for Samoans up there to Blau Valley, because you can't swear as a Samoan. You know, when you swear, it's fight. You know, like in New Zealand, right? If you say, you know, kefe wai kai, they laugh. You say kefe na kai in Samoa, it's on.
And when the auntie and the mum says it, the way you say it,
that's what I'm saying. It's more serious over there. So, but I always say to people, it's just it is what it is. You know, you're getting mad at me for doing this, but you do worse at home. Like, just because I'm on a camera, you live with it 24 hours of the day. You know, so don't come after me and tell me that I'm less Samoan, because look at what you're doing behind closed doors. Because I speak up for Samoans, because I also make videos that go against Samoans, like if I call out Samoans, but I make videos to stick up for Samoans. And then there will be certain people that will say, why are you making videos hating on Samoans? You should be agreeing with them. So I said, so you want me to agree with Samoans even when they're wrong because they're Samoans? And they're like, yeah. And so if they do anything bad, I just have to agree with it. So that's your premise on truth. So if they go and mare a dog,
is it fat Samoan?
you know what I mean? Do I just say, yeah, hallelujah, you know? Like, that's what I say. It's so stupid. But I just speak on, I'm not biased on anything. I did a video where I was talking about, you know, when Josh 685 did the Savage Love the beat, Jason Derulo, he took the beat and he made Savage Love. And huge Samoans, it's only majority of Samoans went on Jason Derulo's page and said, how dare you steal songs. This is a Samoan song, steal song. Not knowing that behind the scenes, Jason Derulo and Josh 685 are locking something in. Obviously, he's getting paid. He admits on a radio that he's getting paid. But the Samoans didn't know this. And they're like dragging Jason Derulo, going, why would you steal a song? Or when he was singing Savage Love, they were like, that's made from a Samoan guy. And then I made a video calling out the Samoans. I'm like, Samoans are known to cover every song.
The remix.
So like Mr. Cowboy's album, there's all other songs. That's what I'm saying. When like it's just that hypocritical. It's like, how can you get mad at Jason Derulo doing one song? Yet you got Samoans who go and tell you if they had a copyright infringement law in Samoa, everyone would be arrested.
We've been sued at ages.
They'll all be in the prison. Yeah. And then when I did that video, then they start saying, yeah, but Samoa's poor. And I'm like, nah. You guys were angry at them stealing songs. Let's stick to the principle. You know what I mean? I was like, don't try to change the subject now. Don't try to, now they're trying to like play, devil's advocate, picking at little things, saying, yeah, but he's a millionaire and he should be. And I'm like, nah, let's focus on the thing that you said. Don't steal songs, So I say I call it out for what it is. And like even with the Ian Dongi situation, the guy who won American Idol.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
I saw that one.
Yeah. I said the only reason why Ian Dongi won is not necessarily, I said this in the video, not necessarily by his voice, but because of his story. And everybody got mad. They got mad, but it's the truth. And then they said, no, he won because of his voice. I said, okay, let me ask you a question. Name the runner-up story. And they're like, name some of the contestant stories. And they have no clue. Then you say, name Ian Dongi's story. Oh, yeah, his dad died. Exactly. How'd you know? Because American Idol pushed it.
Yeah.
So, and American Idol is a business. Before it's a TV show, it's a business. And we go back to emotional decisions. They knew to push that video out because people will say, oh, I want to vote. I want to watch. And that's why they voted. But you would think that I told them to die when I said that. But it's common sense. People, I don't know how you can disagree with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, you model boldness, and I wasn't a fan either. So.
But what's your guys' thoughts on that without you guys getting into the heat?
Yeah.
Would you agree that it played a part of her story?
Everyone knows.
hugely.
I mean, it's almost common knowledge now. Everyone knows that the story. I mean, it's parodied and how many skits.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, you're horrible. Oh, but my dad died. And and I say, oh, you're hired. You're on.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
it.
You're going to Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's like at this point, I think it's pretty common knowledge.
Yeah.
And
It is common knowledge. That's why they want to ask you those stories. That's why everybody needs to have a story. Because nobody would vote for a voice. They would vote for a story. Nobody would watch for singing, because you could watch anywhere for singing, but you would want to watch to support someone whose their dad died. So people they don't think like that. They just hear me saying, oh, he never won because of his voice.
Yeah.
And they're like, see, he's a hater. He's saying he can't sing. I said, I never said he couldn't sing. When did I say he couldn't sing?
Just had a stronger story.
Yeah. I just said that his story was strong. Do you think he would have won if he never had that story?
I don't think he would make it into top 10, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying, because his voice was average. Let's just be real. It was average. But the story made it 10 times better.
Yeah. And because he was Pasifika, I mean, for
exactly.
us who are Pasifika, we wanted him to win because he was Pasifika.
Yeah.
But if we go off talent, you go off talent.
Everything about it. Even he was a humble man. Humble man with shorts and jandals,
But it sold.
Yeah, we called it was representation. We were living vicariously through him. We were saying, man, we see ourselves in him. We don't want to see people with shoes when we want to see the guy with the Sevaikos win. You know what I mean? So people were voting because emotion.
Connection.
You know how Oprah was saying, you have a car. Emotion.
You and Jandals.
That's what they're doing. All of it is emotion. But I don't want people to think that emotions are a bad thing. They're a beautiful thing. I didn't think God makes mistakes. Emotions are a beautiful thing. But if you're going to base all your decisions on emotions, you're going to have a very hard life. Because emotions doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. There's a lot of people that could have saved themselves from a big divorce if they didn't make an emotional decision. And I would argue that the reason why there's wars is because of emotions. The reason why people commit rape and all of that because of emotions. If they never had the emotion, to get horny, they probably would have not committed that crime. So emotions is a bad thing if you base it whole entirely. Like if I have an argument with a loved one and they say the most like revolting stuff to me, like, oh, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. You know, I wish you were dead, blah, blah. You know, I'm sure we've had that with siblings who get really mad and go, I wish you were dead, I don't want to talk to you. Normal siblings will get mad. Me, I'm just like this. Okay, when you calm down, come back. That's what I do. And then even when, oh, you will die. Like, okay, I love you. When you calm down, come on. I hate you. I'm blocking you. And then literally a day later, hey, I just want to say sorry. See, have you calmed down? Yeah, because I'm not going to give you emotion back. Like if you're going to come with me and say I hate you and you want to die, I'm smart enough to know if she wasn't angry, would she still say that? The only reason why she's saying that because she's angry. So this is a message for anyone. If somebody is angry at you and they're saying some things that are very hurtful, ask yourself, would they be saying this if they were angry, if they were not angry? And then that way you could say, okay, I can forgive that. I can forgive that. So if your siblings or your brother will say something really bad to you, you know, just take some time. We say, would they say that if they were in hika? And if your answer is no, then just say, okay, I give him grace. But if he called you with no emotions and he said, I want to kill you, then that's something where you got to be like, yo, really, no, you know what I mean? That's when you're like, okay, it's giving psycho killer. You know?
I love you, brother. I love you.
That's when you're like, okay, I disown you. You know, that's when you have to get to that point. But if they're angry and mad, it's just like, it is what it is. You know, it's just people are angry. Would you guys say you guys are emotional people? Would you guys say you guys make emotional? Do you guys make emotional decisions?
Sometimes I see. Sometimes I'm Stephen here.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I try to be rational. I try to be logic as possible. Because you're right. I think what you said, sometimes our emotions can get us into trouble. And you know, if you're highly emotive, man, you're going to be like a unwavering man going back and forth. And so you just like, man, you're always kind of second guessing yourself, all that kind of stuff, bro.
Yeah, because emotions are fleeting. They come and they go. You can feel happy one time, and then you can feel not happy in one time. That's why I even go back to like love for me is not a feeling. Love for me is a decision. You know, when people say love is a feeling, I'm like, if you think love is a feeling, man, be ready for a divorce because I can guarantee you're not going to feel loved every time. That's why when you get married and you have the celebrant or the pastor standing there, they say, do you love this person? You have to say vows, right? They say, do you love this person for sickness, for health, for rich, for poor? Well, you know what they're basically saying? When your feelings change, are you going to still stay with this man? You're going to still stay with this woman? That's basically in a nutshell. So when people say love is a feeling, I'm saying, no, it's a decision. You have to keep choosing to love someone. Bob Marley said it best. He goes, everybody in life will hurt you, but you have to choose the ones that are worth suffering for. So love is about choosing the ones who are worth suffering for. So I know that I will suffer in general with anyone, but who are the ones that I'm willing to suffer forever for? I'm willing to suffer for my mum forever, willing to suffer for my girlfriend forever, I'm willing to suffer for my usus forever, willing to suffer for my siblings forever, but I'm not willing to suffer for like anyone else forever. That's what love is. It's the ability to love forever. To decide to choose all the time. You think Jesus felt love when he was hanging on the cross?
Oh, no.
When he was getting whipped? When he was getting scorned? When he was bleeding? When people were spitting on him? Just getting embarrassed? Seeing his mom crying in front of him? Pretty sure he felt like crap. But he still did it because he chose to love. It wasn't the nails that held him. It was his love that held him back. So this is what I try to say to everybody, that love is a decision. Is you got to choose to love. And it's... if you're basing it on feelings, then be prepared for a divorce. You know, love is that mother that starves herself for a week because she's saving all her money to buy a birthday cake for her 5-year-old daughter. You know, that's what love is. It's those little sacrifices. But Hollywood has purported love as this Romeo and Juliet, that it's all about fireworks and candy canes and, you know, you hold hands and live happily ever after. But that's a movie and a movie ends. Love is real. Love is when your partner gets paralyzed from waist down and he can't please you physically, and are you still going to be loyal to him even though you want to indulge into your sexual pleasures, but you've made a commitment to your husband, so now basically you're celibate for the rest of your life, but you've chosen to love him. Love is if you're walking into the forest and like this lady, she walked into the forest and the whole tree fell on her and the tree was on fire. She's like beautiful lady before, but she burnt her whole kingo and her husband still stayed with her. And she looks like paper mache, you know, like just all skin wrecked. But that's love, you know. Love is that. You know, sometimes love can be dark. Love can be dark. You know, love is, you know, you two holding hands while the Titanic is about to die. That's, you know, that actually happened in the Titanic. There's a scene in the Titanic, and this is actually from true events, where the husband, the men had to stay behind and the woman had to go, right? But the woman didn't want to leave her man. So she decided to stay with the man instead of getting on the lifeboat. And she was the richest woman. And the rich people get first service. But she said, if my husband is not willing to get on the boat, I'm going to die with you and get engulfed in the water with you. That's love.
Yeah.
So love is dark. Love is not just happy feelings. I wouldn't want love if you're only going to love me when you feel good. I don't want that type of love. I want you to love me even though I'm a pain in your ass. You know what I mean? I want you to love me even though I get on your nerves. I want you to love me even though I can, you know, make you angry and cry. Because I want you to love me for everything about me, not just the good things. Because I would argue that's not love. If you're only going to love me when you feel good. You know, imagine if God had that love with us. You know, I only love you when you make him feel good. But if we do bad, he doesn't love us. He disconnects. You know, so having that love with your children. As soon as they do bad, I'm no longer your parent now. Suffer. You know, love is a spectrum. It's a whole, you know, now I sound like Dr. Phil.
You sound like a fifi out.
Hey, it's like a fucking album, isn't it? I was going to say, amen.
I was like, I was so fifi out.
But, you know, that's why I try to say to people, I don't know, like, I say, if you really listen to my messages, right, and not to try to toot my own horn, but I really think there's actual solid gems and information. Yeah. Because some people sometimes think I'm Vallejo because they're like, oh, his eyes, he's swearing, he's yelling. But then you listen to the information and then they're like, bro, where do you get this information? Like, you know, this guy must watch a lot of things and read a lot of things or been through a lot of experiences for him to have this knowledge. Because there's no way that I just got this knowledge out of thin air. I had to go through things to get this knowledge. I went through a lot of pain to get this knowledge. I've been around, man. Been through a lot of pain. But that's life, eh? It teaches you how to bounce back every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I haven't, you know, you talk a lot about your mum and you talk about your siblings. Dad.
Yeah, he walked out of my life at 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he said, you know, he wanted to play hide and seek and he went and hid, and I don't think he realizes the game is over.
At 5 years old, where are you and your sibling?
So I was 5, so I'm second to last, youngest out of 6 kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, he lives in America, Hawaii. And he was born in American Samoa, so he used to fight for the American Army. And he would say to my mother that he would have to go into battle and go into war and things like that. When really he was going into battle with new women overseas and getting other. So I got all these step brothers and step sisters and that. And my mother raised 6 kids on her own.
Wow.
By herself. And I know mothers who complain about raising 1 kid, let alone 6. You know what I mean? Yeah. So she raised 6, and 4 of those kids were boys.
Wow.
You know, so she raised 6 kids on her own, and she got a degree whilst looking after 6 kids. And I said to Mama, how did you get a degree whilst being a mother? And she said, because I didn't want your dad to win. And that's what she said. And honestly, that's why I said my mother's the strongest woman I know, because there were nights where she would take us, because we had no car, we were broke. So she would walk us to school, and then she would drop us off to school. Then she would catch a bus from West Auckland all the way to the city, K Road, go to Grafton, go and do her studies at Auckland University, University of Auckland. Then she would bus back from University of Auckland, pick us up from the school, walk us back to the back home, cook dinner, and then tell us to, you know, wash up and go to sleep. And she'll bus back in the ball back to University of Auckland to do some studies in the library and there, and come back at like 2 a.m. in the bus. This is all happening. She's coming back at 2 in the morning in the bus, and then she'll come, make sure that she's making our lunch for the next day, and then she'll do her studies, wake up again and repeat the cycle.
Oh, Lord, wow.
And she will do that every day. And this is why I say I'm unstoppable, because that blood that beats in my mum's heart beats in mine. So I always know that no matter what I go through, I still have the ability to push on. And I think people got to understand that as like, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Like if you really want something, you can do it. And you don't need a man. My mom showed me that you can be the man and the woman, you know? And I feel like going back to the reason why I was raised in the hard love, because I feel like as much as my mom was being a parent, she was trying to survive as well. And so she would always say, go to God. Whenever there was something bad, she'd be like, yeah, son, go to God, pray. You know, back then, I was just thinking that was just her normal response. Now I know, you know, in God will fight, she was trying to look after us and do her studies, but dealing with so much, you know. And I said to my man, didn't you want to like commit suicide? Like, you know, 15-year of marriage, and you know, this guy just ups and leaves, gets two ladies. And I still remember what my mom said. She said, I gotta forgiveness. You know, she said, I forgave him. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, when you forgive, you're doing yourself a favor. When you forgive, you're not forgiving him for what he did was right. You're forgiving him because you deserve to be free. So when my mom forgave him, she had so much strength, so much resilience. And that's the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not, you know, a weak thing. It's a sign of strength. And it's about abandonment. It's about letting it go. When people say, I forgive him, and then they look at him and go, I'm like, you didn't forgive. Because you have to look at him and say, okay, it's a clean slate. Because when you hold on to unforgiveness, you just hold on to pain. Like the depiction I like to use, right, is like the wife, she would come home every single day and realize that the house is messy. So she'll go and lie in bed and she'll say, you're not going to have sex with me, or there's going to be no sleep on the couch. So the husband comes home and the wife's lying in bed. She's got the iafu over her, sleeping warm. The husband comes, goes on the bed. She moves away. The husband goes in close. She moves away. The husband goes in close. She moves away so much to the point she falls off the bed and the husband has the iafu. Now the husband's sleeping warm at night and she's in the cold. That's unforgiveness. Because you think you're doing it right, not knowing that you're the one in the cold. And the person you're holding unforgiveness is sleeping at night. And this is the message I try to say to people. It's just to let it go, man. Move on. So I say, just move. Like, just push. Keep going. Because eventually they're going to see you win. You know, my mom said that there were many nights where she wanted to end it. She told me. I said, why didn't you end it? She goes, because then who would look after you guys? She knew her duty.
Yeah.
This is what it goes back to, your duty. What is your duty? So I always say to people, you got to know your duty. What is your duty? So for me to end my life and for me to be hateful over little comments, that's a disgrace to what my mom did for me. If I just end my life over hate comments, then all the hard work that my mom went through, the sleepless nights, she sacrificed all her nights with her friends and all of that to stay at home, the amount of time she bussed back and forth, that's a spit on the face for her. You know, because she could have left us alone, ran away from all her problems. But she said, who's going to look after you guys? And now it's crazy how the tables have turned, because now we all have our kupe and we've all raised well. We all have our thing. My mom now just lives on our money.
Awesome.
So she doesn't make a move. She's a princess now, you know? She just relaxes. She needs money, goes to one sibling. If that sibling doesn't have a next sibling, because there's 6 of us. So, you know, and my dad now wants to come back into the life.
Wow, is he?
Yeah, he wants to come back into the life. And he's realized now that he has missed the most vital moments of our upbringing that he knows he can never get back. He can never get it back. You know, us graduating from school, he can never witness that. You know, us going through, you know, achievements in terms of like our rugby and things like that, he can never get that back. The weddings, things like that, you can never get that back. So now he's trying to come back into my mother's life, but my mom said, no, I don't need you no more. You know, because he left thinking he was the rock. He came back looking like an actual rock. So that's why I say, like, it's, you know, feelings don't matter. Because if my mum adhered to her feelings, then I wouldn't be here. Feelings don't matter, man. You just got to keep going. And my mom said that there are some women that her best friends will say, ka ole whare kalapu, ka o nightclub, you'll find another man. They would say that to my mom, you know? My mom said, no, I got to look after my kids. Well, that woman now who keeps saying that is after, like, broken marriage after broken marriage after broken marriage. Because whatever you run away from, you will eventually face again.
Yeah.
Jonah tried to run away from Nineveh and got swallowed by a whale, and he had to go back to Nineveh. What is it? Moses killed somebody in Egypt, ran away, then he went back to save the Israelites. Whatever you run away from, you're going to face it again. And if you're not willing to deal with the problem at hand, then God's always going to throw you the problem until you deal with it, especially if you're saying, test me.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that the same power that lives in so my mom's a great stronghold and a great picture. So whenever I go through tough times, I'm like, man, I would have given up. Like six kids, and she got a degree. But that's why I say, hey, one man's excuse is another man's reason.
Wow.
Because the same woman with 6 kids can say, I can't get a degree. I got 6 kids. My husband left me. And then my mom would come and say, I need to get a degree because I got 6 kids and my husband left me. So what is your situation? Is it your reason or is it your excuse? The same boiling water that makes the egg hard, makes the potato soft. How do you adapt to this boiling water? Do you let this boiling water turn you into a hard person, or does it make you soft? My background will never dictate my future. You will never know I went through a hard upbringing because you will never see it. If I was depressed, you'll never see me depressed. Ever. God forbid, like the worst thing that ever happened to me is my mom going or my family going, right? I'll still get up and do a TikTok live. I'll still make a video because I will honor my mom's name by keep moving. You know, I'm not like when people cry in bed and they're depressed and they're saying, well, I miss them. Honor your family's name by keep moving. You think your mother in heaven wants to look at you being depressed in bed, knowing that they're the reason why you can't move? You got a duty to keep moving. So that's why I always do. Like, that's why people say to me, with all the hate that I receive online, people say, how do you keep going? I just keep going because I can't stop. The only way I stop is if I die. But
Because you're used to it.
Yeah, used to it. And I know pain is temporary, you know, but giving up is forever. And I'll never give up.
Have you forgiven your dad?
Yeah, I've forgiven my dad.
When did that happen?
When he came for my sister's wedding. Wow. So he came back like 22 years later. My sister was the first one to get married out of the 6 kids. And she called my dad and she said, if you don't come to my wedding and walk me down the aisle, you're cut. You're dead to me. And she told my dad that. And literally within like 48 hours, my dad found some way to get $1,400 to fly one way. And he didn't even know. We never knew that he was coming. So when he came, the night before my sister's wedding, my sister gets a call on Messenger on Facebook and he said, I'm here.
Wow.
he
the hardwood works.
Yeah. So he came. And when he came, I sat down with him and had that conversation with him. I'm like, why'd you leave? You know, why'd you leave? And without going too much into it, but it was just like, he was so lost into what other people's opinions were. His mum was telling him this, his family were telling him this. But if you love someone, you should never let anyone else make your decisions. Like, I could be in love with someone so bad and my family would tell me to leave and I wouldn't leave. I would fall on my own mistake and then I would leave. And that's probably the best way to even tutor your kids. As much as you hate someone and you probably think that partner doesn't suit fit, you don't tell them to leave them. You tell them and say, look, okay, I probably might not agree with your choices, but you go, I'll support you. And just know that I'll still offer you despite the breakup. And I'll be here. Because the greatest experience is heartbreak. And you want them to feel the heartbreak. You don't want to shelter them from heartbreak. Because life is hard, man. So if your kids want to get into a relationship, it is what it is, you know?
So it sounds like you got to understand your dad's story.
Yeah, I understood my dad's story. And I just realized that, you know, I forgave him too because that's all he knew. And sometimes our parents treat us in a way, not because they wanted to, it's because that's all they knew. Even their whakawangas, their discipline, how they raised us, they never had the education or the schools or information that we have now. So the way they raised us was how they were taught. And my father came from a family where broken marriage after broken marriage after broken marriage. And so by default, by extension, he broke that marriage. And I just got to forgive him. Good. Because he's already got the pain. For him to find money to fly here, and he knew that we could find a way for him to get back, just goes to show that it meant a lot to him and that he had to come. So I just think you forgive. Forgiveness is powerful, man. It's beautiful. When you hold on to unforgiveness, it's like you're throwing dust at a strong, mighty wind that's coming towards you.
It comes back to you.
Yeah, it just hits you. You're the only one that gets hurt. And you can't fly when your wings are heavy. So you just got to let it go and just move on and realize that things will come around. You know?
And it's easier to let go when you hear the story. And
Exactly.
I think what you just shared there is very powerful because it's more common than we think. That, I don't know if it's just Pasifika families. I think it's very common right across the board where when the mum and dad or the sisters or whatever don't like your choice, that's actually, a lot of people's self-worth sits in that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like waiting for the wrong thing for the person to do to leave them when in fact you're right.
Yeah.
You make your bed, you lie in it.
That's it. That's the thing you have to do. And a lot of Samoan families do that because they're saying, makanga, don't go out with him, don't go out with her. But when they die, who's going to be there? You're only in your prime for a certain amount of years. So if you're looking at your daughter and you're saying to your daughter at 23, saying, hey, holelei, whakali, don't worry about it. You have all the time to find a man. And then she stays and kaupsi her parents and looks after her parents. Then she gets to like 38 years old, the parents pass away. Then she tries to go back into the dating market. Cinderella turned into her sister. But
Turned into a
Hey
stepmother.
man, 38's the new 21, man.
No, but you know what I mean? Because there's more competition now, right? There's more competition. So the dating market becomes more. And I always say, the older you get, and if you're single, it becomes harder. Because it becomes harder, they said if you're 27 years old and you're single, a single man, they said you're either going to go with a woman that already has a child.
27?
Yeah, 27, a 27-year-old man, if he's single. They said if he's going back into the dating market, you'll go with a solo parent who has a child or someone who's already been through a divorce. Wow. So they said that's what's usually happened in the dating market because things change. A lot of things change in the dating market, and you're only in your prime once. And so when parents say, "Oh, wait and look after us till we go," what about if they go and you're 54? And then you're like, you know what? I'm ready now. I got my makeup on. And you go out there and they say, "Oh man, you look like furniture's leaving the house." There has to come a point where you just gotta let the kids
Make a decision.
you make and just to even go down that rabbit hole, I think the best way to teach kids is by being so transparent and honest with them. I'm not a parent, but I know what it's like growing up in a household with a solo parent. And one thing I loved about our mum is our mum always allowed us to make decisions and fall on it. Because a lot of parents, they say things like, when you go to school, don't get into a relationship. Make sure you go, study, come home, and that's it. And for you to think that's going to happen is stupid because kids are kids. And if they're not going to be in a relationship and tell you, they're going to do it behind your back. And I want my kids, if I had kids, I would want my kids to, like, if they did the worst thing ever, I would want my kids to be like, I got to call dad. And that's the relationship I want with my kids. That even if they commit the most disgusting crime, they can say, I got to call dad, I got to call mom. And that's the relationship you have. How sad it must be for something to happen. You can't call your dad. You can't call your mom. You don't know who to confide in. And then that's how suicide arises. You know, I saw a study where they said that single-sex genders schools, like Custon Girls and Epson and schools like that, they have the highest teenage pregnancies. And you're just like, how can a single-sex female school with no guys have the highest teenage pregnancies? You would think it would be co-ed schools, right? With boys and girls. But then I started to think and dived into it. Did you know that most whaiwhāos take their daughters to single-sex schools because they think in their mind that is going to stop them from looking for safeguard them? So they'll say, hey, avi a Custon Girls. Because ngau kengi, ele se kama. They just take it there. So they might like take it there. But here's the thing, you treat someone like an animal and you lock them in a cage. When you open that cage, good luck.
The hormones are raging.
Exactly. So they go, oh, there's custom boys down there, you know? So they go and start making these relationships. And since you put these parameters such high, saying if you tell me that you're in a relationship, you're dead, they're going to go and get pregnant behind your back. And then when they unalive themselves and cross over, their parents are crying, saying, they could have told me. They could have just, they could have told me that this, why didn't they come to me? Well, maybe they would have came to you if you didn't tell them they'll be dead if they're in a relationship. So you just got to have that honest relationship with your kids. I feel like the best thing you could say as a parent is if you go to school, you probably might fancy someone and you might find somebody's very attractive. I would like to meet them. I would like to meet them and I trust you that you would make the right decisions. But if you ever want to go out on a movie date with her or whatever, come and tell me about it. Because at least that way you'd rather know, eh? So that way you know what's happening. Because you're absurd in thinking that these kids are going to go to school and see these hot guys where their hormones are rushing more than ever. And they're just going to say, oh, but my mum said no, walk away.
Yeah, no.
That just doesn't happen. We've been there. I was the meanest moikolo.
Are you still moikolo?
No, I'm kind of. But yeah, it's just these things, man. Like I feel, look, you got to just have that transparency. That's all about that. What about you guys with the kids? Are you guys transparent with your kids?
Yeah.
And that?
I thought you were going to say moikolo, but
How are you guys with the kids if they get into a relationship and stuff like that? You guys make it aware?
Same values as you.
Yeah.
It's important to be open, transparent. I think that, and you have to work hard at keeping that door open.
Yeah.
Hey, because we're emotional people too, and you do you do the Samoan mother thing.
Yeah.
And I've got to recognise when it comes out, and I've got to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And I let my kids know, that was mum in a real heated moment. But hopefully that, and you've got to acknowledge that and also apologise to your kids.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways.
Exactly.
So that they can come to you and talk about anything. And I have that relationship.
You got to have that open. You got to show them that no matter how bad they stuff up,
or us.
Or us.
We stuff
You guys
up
can
too.
still access conversation and still be able to talk about it. Because I just feel like it's sad now that there are, in the Pasifika community, so many kids now are taking their lives at a young age, all because they can't talk to their parents.
And they want to.
And they want to.
And they want to talk to their parents. You're right.
Exactly, but they just can't, which is sad. So, the parents need to find a new way to understand. Or sweet game me. Like the times changed.
Yeah.
It's not back in the days, like you, and I would say that a good parent is a parent that's able to give direction and let them do it themselves.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the papatia on top and move them here and move them there, because that comes with generational trauma as well. I'm just so glad that I have a mental fortitude and an iron mind, that I'm strong beyond belief, that I can go through life without trauma and that.
Yeah.
But not many people have that ability to filter. There are people that are 30 years old, 40 years old, that still carry trauma from 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. Those ones that, they drowned in a swimming pool at 5 years old, and the swimming pool's only up to their knee now. But when they go back to the swimming pool, they get scared because they still look at the swimming pool from the eyes of a 5-year-old. So they still carry those trauma. You tell them to step in the swimming pool, it goes up to their knee, but they're like still panicking because they're like, I drowned there.
Because they didn't talk about it, Because tala noa, what you do on your story, you model what we're meant to do, meant to talk about it. And I think if we want our kids to open up to us when they have their worst experiences, we have to do the same with them.
Yeah.
We've got to open up when we've had our worst experiences as parents with them
Yeah.
and call it out and hopefully model that conversation.
Amen.
We can't just say come and you don't do it yourself.
100%.
Yeah, it's just like you do, Stephen. You say that, you kind of start off and it's real confrontational, but you explain. I think it's really important for us as parents to explain to our kids, this is why you need to be mindful of this. This is why you can't do this and that. And so I think a lot of the explanation is kind of missing in terms of disciplining kids. Sometimes we just fussy our kids for never explain to them why we fussy them, or give them a spanking. But I think our kids now, they need to know why. What's the why? Why? Explain, mum and dad, why did you do this? Why did you put this in place, and so forth. And so when they know, it's like, okay, I understand, I get it. You're absolutely right, man. I like what
I
you're
appreciate
saying.
you guys, man. Hopefully, I'm not like just dragging on you.
No,
guys'
man, man.
Too
I
much
tell you,
gems.
too much gems. Also,
Yeah.
I tell you, and just touch back on who you are. It paints a perfect picture because people always think, okay, Stephen Setu, the big guy, loud and controversial, but it comes from a place, and it comes from a good place also. It really does. You come from a good place, and I can, you don't know me from a bar of soap, but just sitting here listening to you, that, bro, this guy's got a good character. And I'm just saying for the sake of saying it, this guy's got some good values.
Yeah.
But behind all the stuff that you do, you're a good man.
I appreciate that. And that's what I want. I want people to see my heart. And I feel like when you're a fan of Stephen, you see my heart. And you understand that he's only means well. He means well. If you can get through the brutal honesty and see the message, you would realize, wow, it's the old school teaching. It's the old school. That's how we were raised, the parents screaming at you, yelling at okengia. But man, those okengias are beautiful when you listen to the messages. There's whakuangas where they're yelling at you and saying, I want to fight me, this, like all these things, and the brutal honesty is so strong. But when you listen and just pay attention, it's gems, They're just dropping gems, and you got to listen to those things, because I feel like they're trying to cancel out the tough love. But I feel like tough love creates tough people. And that's why I feel like the generation now, they're just weak, man. Weak now, generation kids now, they're all in everything has a community. You say anything about animals, the vegans come after. You say anything about rainbows, the LGBT community comes in. Everything now has a community. So you have to step on eggshells now whenever you make an opinion. Whenever you have a hot take, everybody comes after you. Even comedy now has changed. You can't even say things in comedy no more. Even movies now. Like movies we used to watch in the 90s and they're growing up, they could say the most harshest things, gay jokes, and then we could laugh. Now, if you look at movies, they don't have those jokes no more. They don't have those jokes no more because nobody wants to sell those movies in their theater because it could hurt a certain population, a certain group, a certain community. So that's what I'm saying. It's just destroying. Everything is getting sad now. I feel like they need to bring it back. And isn't it amazing that all the great wonders of the world were all built in the era where men were getting disciplined? All the greatest wonders of the world.
Wow.
The beautiful cathedrals. All the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Eiffel Tower, even the Sky Tower, all these beautiful things that were built were coming from the era where kids were disciplined. So you can't tell me that discipline doesn't mean wrong. Because even in the Kuspaia says you got to spare the rod.
Or you spoil the child.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't tell me disciplining kids are bad, because it was disciplined kids who built the civilization that we're here today. So when people say the disciplining is wrong, I'm like, nah, man, now it's wrong because you got kids now who know that they have so much power now that they can abuse their parents, and they say, go to sleep. They go, nah, touch me. What are you going to do? Oh, I'll turn off the Wi-Fi. And then they turn off the Wi-Fi, and then the kid has an uproar, and then they're coming pushing around the parent, and the parent can't do anything. The parent has to call the cops. Now the cops is the parents. Like I was talking about this with ADHD. I believe that ADHD is not a thing. And the reason why is that because I saw a video on YouTube where it was a white couple. They had a son walking down the stairs, and he wouldn't walk down the stairs. He would jump. He would jump from the top of the stairs to the bottom. So the mum would be like, Timothy, make sure you come downstairs perfectly now. Did you be jumping? And he goes, shut up, mum. And he jumped from the top of the stairs to the bottom. Then the dad came along, and he goes, Timothy, you heard what your mom said, don't you jump from downstairs. And then he jumped. So they said, maybe something's wrong with him. We need to take him to the doctors. The doctor said the reason why he's not listening, he's got ADHD. And you know what I said? If my kid was jumping from the top downstairs, I would have solved that by a jandal to his face.
Hey, what did we grew up?
Well, if I got paraplegic,
Honestly, I'll tell you that. So where's the ADHD now? You know what I
worked
mean?
when we grew up,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. Because if my kid says, shut up, Dad, I'll be like, Sully, you're going to be drinking through a straw next week. You know, and then he'll be walking up and down. So what happened to ADHD? That's why I'm saying ADHD is a scam. What happened to it? You don't see those kids in Africa who has less of an educational system. You kids in Africa who walk miles and miles to get water from a well to bring it back to their village. You don't see them carrying the water on their head saying, Mom, I can't do it. I got ADHD. They just do it.
Yeah.
But over here in the West, everything has an identity. And the reason why they like identity is because when you know you have something, you can cope. So when you know you're depressed, you can say, "Oh, it's because of this. It's because of this." Like I'll give you, like my like I would like, for example, I would train, and before like I'll tear a muscle, right? And I would just keep training even though I tear a muscle. But then as soon as I started reading into like, you know, you have to make sure your muscle relax because you could be suffering from arthritis and all that. So I started reading that. Like my also will be like, let's go train. And I'll be like, no, because I got to rest my leg because they said that I might have this. You notice as soon as I knew what it was, I identified it. And then I was like, but if I didn't know it, I would have just went and trained.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's just that people, they want to have something to identify. It's like when you have, like you can have cancer for 5 to 6 years and still live your life. Then you go and take a blood test. You go to the doctor and they go, okay, you got cancer. 2 weeks, they're dead. Like, or 2 weeks or a month. All of a sudden, they start getting sick. And you're like, you had cancer in your system for 6 to 7 years, and you're living your life just fine. Until you identified as a cancer patient, you died. And that's the thing about identity. What is your identity? Well, everything in life comes back to your image. The reason why I think I can never be stopped because I truly believe I am the man. Like I'm the bee's knees. Like God had a very amazing day when he created me. Like when I came out of the doctor, like the doctor was like, God damn, he's fine. And I believe that. And people think that's crazy because you can't walk around saying that. You know, somebody talks like this, they're saying you're arrogant. And so how do you want me to talk? Do you want me to say I'm useless, defeated, less than? I'm terrible? I'm a disgrace? Does that make it? So being normal is hating yourself? That's normal? Nah, I'm my biggest fan because ain't nobody else is going to be my biggest fan. I might as well be it. So yeah,
cool.
And I feel like if you, in life, you attract what you are, not what you want. So the energy that you give out to the world is the same energy you give back. And if you present yourself as a person of integrity, of faith, that's all going to come back into your life. But a lot of times and this goes back into relationships, people will say, oh, I'm getting fuck boys. I'm sick and tired of getting guys who just want to have sex. I want a good Christian guy. I want a good Christian man, a God-fearing man. But all my exes are just fuck boys and they want sex. And then you go and look on her TikTok and you go and look on her Facebook and she's doing videos of shaking her muli and her susus are showing. And I'm like, yeah, it's because you're attracting what you want. You're attracting who you are. You're not attracting what you want.
Wow.
Who she is what she's sending out to the world. So she's saying, I want a good Christian guy, but are you a good Christian girl? I want a happy guy. Well, are you a happy girl?
Yeah.
I want a very secure man. Well, are you a secure woman? Because you attract what you are. You don't attract what you want. So if you get to that phase where if you want to find the partner of your dreams, I always say write down a love list and write down, I want somebody that's funny, courageous, smart, who's opinionated, who's this intelligent. When you write that list, become the list.
That's good.
That's good, bro.
Because when you become the list,
good.
You will attract. So isn't it funny, right? How the most opinionated Polynesian somehow attracted another opinionated Polynesian woman. That's what I'm saying. So when you literally put it out to the world and say, this is the echelon I want, you're going to attract that in your life. And you're not only going to attract the girlfriend and the boyfriend, you're also going to attract the people around in your circle. I can't hang around with people who cheat on their wife.
Yeah.
If you cheat on your wife, I can't hang out with you. Because if you can snake on your wife, you can snake on me.
It's good.
That's why I didn't hang out. As soon as one of my boys say, I cheated on my girlfriend, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Why? Because if you can betray your girlfriend, you can betray me. And my circle is very small. And I need to have soldiers around me. So I don't want somebody that's like slip and slope like that. You know, so for me, I make sure that I have my parameters and my boundaries, and everybody that come into my life has to adhere to it, or you can fuck off. And I don't care if you do. Because I could have a million friends fall away from me. If I only got one that stays solid with me, that trumps that million. So just be the person who you want to be, and then you'll attract it back into your life. But so many people are afraid to believe it. And usually what people say they want is not really what they want. Let's just be real. It's the same people that say, oh, we want these people on the podcast. We want the director. We want the person that found the cure for this and that. So long at the podcast, and they don't watch it. And the ones that they don't want to watch are the ones that get the views.
Yeah.
You know, it's because that's why I say people say they want something, but in reality, they don't really want it. And you can judge them from their character. The good thing about me is I can be so real, is that I give people me.
Yeah.
And it's either you love me or not. And the good thing about being so real is that people will leave you. And that's good, because if people leave you, the right ones will stay. And the right ones that decide to stay are the ones that decide to love you for who you are.
Yeah.
So I prayed to God to protect me from my enemies, and I woke up the next day and I lost all my friends.
All your enemies.
Yeah, I was like, where's my friends gone? Then I realized, oh, those were my enemies.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? So you just gotta be a good person of character, and that would come back into your life. And I honestly do think I'm a good guy of character. I'm a very good guy of character, and I actually mean it. I'm that guy. I'm him. Like if I'm on your side, you have such a good person by your side. You tell me a secret, it will never come out. You know, I'm really that guy. If you tell me to help you out, I'll help you out. But I also have boundaries as well. But if I'm for you, I'm for you. Even when I'm angry at you, I'm for you. You know, my also gets me pissed off every single day, and I'll still buy him a feed.
This one.
Yeah. So there'll be times, right? He would piss me off. Like he would do something, he would piss me off so bad. And then I'll be like, oh, man, what do you want to eat? While I'm angry. And I'm so mad at him. And I go, what do you want to eat? And then I'll buy it for him, and I'll be like, don't talk to me. And he's eating. But it's because that's just me. Because despite how I feel, he's still my uso. And I have a duty to be his uso. And that's how I live my life. My loyalty is not based on the premise of how I feel. It's based on the premise of what I decide. You know, just because your son gets you annoyed, you're not going to just say, well, you're not my son no more. It's not about how you feel. I think feelings is a big subject in this whole
No,
thing.
Yeah,
it's good, man.
it
It's
is.
good. It's awesome.
Feelings is a big thing, and I think your whole message around you've just got to move away from it. Like, yes, move away from it once you've sat in it. Hey, once you've acknowledged it,
Yeah.
cool. Acknowledge it, then move on.
That's it.
But when people don't move on, it's because they haven't acknowledged it. So yeah, because if you don't practice that for yourself, you're going to get pulled by all the stuff that happens around us, and that's what they attack is your emotions.
Yeah, and healing is feeling. You got to feel to heal. It's like you got to feel it.
Yeah,
Like, I don't run away from it. If I feel heartbroken, I got to let it out of my system.
yeah.
Like, I'll gangi in my boku all by myself. Like, I'll make sure I feel the pain. And you get those friends that say, and I'm like, I'm not going to distract myself. I want to cry. I want to feel the heartbreak, because that's grief.
Yeah.
It's human beings.
Yeah.
You know, like, if I'm crying because of a heartbreak, it's because I really loved you. And I'll never change how I love you. You know, I read something where somebody goes, I will never cross the ocean for someone who only crossed the puddle for me, and I would never climb the mountain for someone who would climb a hill for me. And I used to agree with that, but then I was like, you know what? Nah. If I climb the mountain and you only climb the hill for me, and you leave me, I own it. I loved you a lot.
Yeah.
And that's me, and I'm unapologetic for that. At least you know what it's like to be loved the right way. And I know what it's like to be loved the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not my love is not transactional. If you want to give me something little and this is how you want to treat me, I'm going to treat you like a queen. I'm going to make sure that, everything's going for your end. And if you decide to snake me, at least you know what love is.
That's good.
And I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to be apologetic for it. I'm not going to be like, oh, now I'll wait for you to give me this. I don't give to you to make you feel good. I give to you because I love to give.
That's cool.
I don't give to you and say, those people that say, oh, I give, but he was so ungrateful and he never said thank you. And I'm like, yeah, it's because you're expecting a return. Even though thank you is not tangible, but it's still a return. If you get the true essence of giving is giving and expecting no return.
Yeah.
So if I give you something and I can't be mad. So even if you leave me and I gave you something, I can't be mad because I felt at that time I loved you, and I'm very unapologetic for it. I'm not gonna be like, man, my maua ko pe whakaoranga PlayStation, whakaoranga mea aiwa overdraft la o car.
Well, I can't laugh with.
Yeah, what more, all these stuff.
Yeah.
I can't be mad because at the end of the day, it was real. My love was real.
Man, you have such a strong message on love. It just makes me wonder how in love you are right now.
So there's emotions, man.
I tell you this, I'm just really grateful that God's put me at a and like
no, boy, call change.
So anyways, I just think love is so much bigger than what it is. Like in the reality of things, love is so much bigger than it is. Because the reality is everybody will hurt you. Everyone. Your mom will hurt you. Your daughter will hurt you. Everybody will get on your nerves. But I think Bob Marley nailed it, eh? It's the people that you decide who are worth suffering for. And I feel like that is love. Because I'm not going to suffer for any Tom, Dick, and Harry. But I will suffer for the people who I think they're worth suffering for. Because life is all about suffering. You suffer, you get old, you're gonna go through trials and tribulations. Life is all about suffering. It's about trying to enjoy life whilst you're suffering.
Yeah.
That's literally life. And the problem is with human beings is we think we are immortal, like that we don't die. Sometimes we forget we don't die. Do you know that's crazy? We forget that we don't die. We just think life is just life. We're gonna wake up. This could be now, forever. Forever is now and now is forever. When I say goodbye to you guys, this could be potentially the last time I say goodbye to you guys. That's how powerful life is. And the people who didn't wake up today, they probably had plans for next week. So that's why I just say live for the now. Just do it. Speak your truth. Even if you get hated, man. Because life is short. We're here for a short time, man. At least if I die, people can say, oh, it's only did that guy for TikTok die. Man, the guy that speaks the truth. At least I know that there will be people saying he spoke the truth. I die with pride. And this is not the real world. The real world is up there. This is just like passing. We're traveling. We're just traveling. So that's why I don't really get hooked too much. And I always, like I say, everything leaves you, man. Everything. And so if somebody leaves you early, like let's say hypothetically you wanted to marry someone and then they leave you early, yes, you could be heartbroken, but you just say, well, they were eventually going to leave, but they didn't leave in the way that I wanted them to leave, which was through death and old age, but they left anyways. So at the end of the day, they left. And when you have that mentality and that focus and that perspective, then you realize, oh, I'm all good then. If you change how you look at things, the look of things change. So when you just be like, okay, cool. Okay, maybe it doesn't work out that way. that can change him. You know, when I, like on my other podcast, when I'm on, there will be people in the comments that was, it's me, I'm speaking, right? And then there'll be people that say, wow, I like what he's saying. But then you'll get those people that say, this guy, he likes to copy stuff that he hears online. He's, he's fear palangi. He's fear like trying to be Jordan Peterson, or he's trying to be Andrew Tate. He's trying to be like this and that. And it's like, you're really stopping yourself from learning because you came here and you had a chance to actually listen and hear some gems, but you can't get past just the hate. You still have your hate sunglasses on. Like you basically came here and was speaking and you're just like, nah, I hate this guy, hate. And there's going to be people that's going to watch the whole podcast and then they're going to say, I hate him. But I would argue you love me because you would watch me for 2 hours.
I think it's 3.
Yeah, or 3.
It's 4 years. I think it's almost 2.5, past 2.5.
Yeah, that's what I say. Exactly. Who would watch me for that long? If I hated you, I could never watch you at all. Why would I waste my time on my precious day to spend time watching somebody I hate? So if somebody says, oh, I watched the whole podcast and he's annoying, I'm like, bro, you're a fan. Just admit it. Because you could have been doing anything. You could have been changing the nappies for your kids. Could have been doing your whākau. You could have been going to sleep. Could be having a fufu. You could be doing anything. Instead you chose
for 2 hours.
Yeah, for 2 hours, for 2 minutes, 2 seconds. But instead you chose to watch me. So it just, I know the haters are undercover fans. And I want to be a bastion of truth. And yeah, that's it. And a person that people know that is the truth. You know, when you die, right? They have the year that you were born and the year that you die. And then in the middle is the minus. In the middle is the minus. That minus in the middle of those years is your life. What are you doing with that life? You know what I mean? Because you see the year that you were born and then you see the little dash and then you see the year this. That little dash is your little life. That's your little life you have. And you have to put that into perspective. I always say the things that change perspectives is walk to a jail, walk to a cemetery, or walk to a hospital. Like go to a cemetery, go to a hospital, go to a jail, and you would appreciate life. Every time I come from the cemetery, I'm just like, man, I'm so grateful. Every time I come back from a hospital, I'm just like so grateful. You know, people been dropping like flies, eh?
Yeah.
People, like I'm sure you guys have seen people your age or people younger that are going, eh?
We had one
quite
this
a few,
week.
yeah.
Did I go to the house after this?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's like, you know, God is good for keeping you guys here and keep you guys whole because life is short, man. And people are passing away young, man.
Oh, yeah.
Young. Good health and everything. That's why I say you can't control your health. Because you could have a brain aneurysm or heart attack. You can't control that. You could come out with the best blood work and then still die. You can't control your health. You can't control what's happening around, but you can control your mind. And that's the only thing you have control of. You know, I watched a documentary of a slave and he had everything taken away from him, clothes and everything. He was bare naked. And he said to the white man, and he said, you can take everything away from me, but you can't take away my mind. Your mind is yours, and that is yours forever. And why would you want the only thing that's for you against you? And that's the reason why I always have to have a strong mind, because my mind is so strong. So imagine if I used my mind against me, because it's so strong pushing forward. If I use it pushing towards me, it can end me. So I always make sure that my mind is on point at every time. I read a lot, do a lot of meditation, a lot of prayer. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes I feel it because I'm human. But I'm just like, okay, I feel it. Cool. Move on.
Yeah, nice.
Action. I don't dwell in it. I don't dwell in opinions of nobodies. Like, I'm going to die. If I die, I want to die more than anything less than emperor. I want to die as king. And I feel like as a king, you're going to go through trials and you're going to go through tribulations, and that's the life of a man. Like, when has it ever been good for a man? In history in general, was it good when they went into World War I? Was it good in the medieval days? Was it good on the Titanic? When was it ever good for men? It's never been good for men. So this whole new movement now where they're saying men should just be stuck in their fields, I feel like, yes, men should let out their emotions, but to men. But they're trying to say men can be emotional like women and just be emotional forever. No, women are designed to be emotional. Men are not designed to be emotional. Women, we are peace of mind. We create peace of mind. That's what men are created. Women are not, the most happiest women are feminine women. Women only go into masculinity for a state of survival because they're not supposed to be masculine as a personality trait. They're supposed to be masculine in sporadic moments. That's the reason why when you talk to solo mothers, they use masculine a lot. Saying, I had to be masculine. I had to be the man. I had to be the man. But women would want to choose the soft side. Women naturally, because that's their biology. So if your woman is mad at you and aggressive and masculine to you, perhaps it's because you're a bitch.
Preach it, man. Preach it, Stephen. Preach
You know
it.
what I mean? Like I always say that because a woman can own. You have to create a space for the woman to fall into her femininity, because that woman is such a bitch to you and a man and masculine to you, but she's feminine to me. So what's the difference? You know, she would if I made her my girlfriend, she would cook for me, clean for me. She would make sure that, you know, I'm pleased physically, you know, mentally, everything. But then she's with you. She's a cunt. So what's the difference? It's because I put her in her feminine state and you put her in her masculine state. And women are at their best when they're feminine because that's how they're biologically designed. And now we're living in this woke generation now where they're trying to say women are strong as men, which is absolutely asinine. We know women are not strong like men. You put a 13-year-old boy with a full-grown woman in a room, that 13-year-old boy will rip her to shreds. Because men are built different. Men are protectors. So when they're trying to design this thing saying that women are strong as men, they say, yeah, but they're strong UFC women fighters. Well, you put them in the ring with the strong UFC men fighters and see who wins. So I always say there are gender roles and gender roles exist, and I believe there are gender roles. Women would submit to you, not because they have to, but because they want to. If you treat a woman so good, they will submit to you by their own choice. You know, they would want to clean for you because they want to clean for you. They would want to cook for you because they want to cook for you. If your woman's not cooking for you or cleaning for you, it's probably because you haven't put her in a position to make her feel in her feminine state. She has to be the man of the house. She has to control the relationship. She has to tell you to get a job. She has to tell you to go and mow the lawn. So she's being the man and you're being the girl. And that's why you'll never get the best version of your girl, because you're supposed to be the man. And if you stick to gender roles work. Like I always, like I would, my partner, she would clean and she would cook. Not because I tell her to clean or cook, but because she does. And she wouldn't argue if I tell her to make me a sandwich. She would make me a sandwich. Because if somebody knocked on the door at 2 a.m. and we're sleeping, who do you expect going to open the door? Am I going to tell my girlfriend to open the door? Am I going to open the door? So I'm going to go and open the door because that's my gender role. I don't even know who's behind the door. It could be a murderer behind the door. So I'm willing to sacrifice my life for you. And you're mad at making me an egg sandwich? Really? You know, I'm the one that's going to be driving the car home on a stormy day on the narrow, windy roads. And you're mad at me because you couldn't dustpan up the crumbs off the ground? There's gender roles and gender roles exist. And they will only exist if you guys work in harmony. If you guys work in peace. The man has to be masculine though, and the woman has to be feminine. The woman can't be masculine and the man can't be feminine. But now, this whole system, going back to what we were talking about, they're making men so weak that women now, just by default, are the men of the house. When women get a lot of money, you know what they say? They say, I don't need a man. And when men get a lot of money, they want to settle down. A rich man would marry the waitress that works at Starbucks. That's why you always hear the story of the rich man came and saved the poor girl. Tell you, a rich woman will never marry the guy that works in KFC. Like a rich billionaire woman, you think a rich billionaire woman would be like, ooh, that guy over there at McDonald's at the cashier is very fine. That would never happen. Why? Because women intrinsically know that a male is supposed to be more than them in terms of providing, in terms of protection. So they would find someone who matches their pay grade or somebody who's even higher on their pay grade. But that's just money side of things. You need to be able to perform as a man, as a competent man. And if you can perform as a competent man, then your woman would be able to fall in line. And I always say this as men as well in a relationship. Men can only have this way if they're willing to walk away from the relationship. But too many men are afraid to say no to women. And because they're afraid they'll never find another woman. And since they're afraid to say no to women, they're willing to devalue their standards. And if you're willing to devalue your standards, you're just going to keep getting walked over. So when the woman will do something wrong, as a man, you're supposed to call it out and you say, hey, don't do that ever again. You hear me? She's got to be stern. And even if she complains and yells, she goes, well, I'm allowed to. Okay, get out of my house. Boom. Well, I'm never going to. Okay, cool. Thank you. Bye. You got to be solid as a man. But what do men do? The girl does something to them. They're like, you shouldn't do that. And then the girl goes, okay, fine, I'm leaving. Then the guy, don't leave. Please. I'm sorry. So now you're apologizing for her doing something wrong. So if your girlfriend doesn't respect you, how can we respect you as a man? Because girls don't want to be with someone that doesn't respect themselves. They want a man. So now they know that this guy here is just constantly just going to say yes to everything. You know, it's going to be disgusting for them because a masculine man would not tolerate that. You know, so I always would say, always put your girlfriend in line and check her for her mistakes and vice versa. She should do that to you.
Cool.
But as a man, you've got to have the ability to know when to leave the fear. Donald Trump said in one of his books, he goes, the strongest negotiating point is being able to walk away and mean it. Because you can't negotiate if you walk away and don't mean it. So they need to know you can walk away and mean it. So you need to get to the point where you can say, if you treat me with disrespect, I will leave you. And mean it. If I say I'll leave you, I leave you. I'm not, and I will use it only once. You know how those people that say like this, I'm done, I'm over with this relationship, and then they're back together? Nah, if I say I'm done and I'm over this relationship, it's done. Because when I say my words, I mean it. All I have in my life is my word and my balls, and I will never change it for nobody. That's actually
in your mind.
Yeah, that's a saying of Scarface. Eh? So that's all I have, and I just say stick true to your words. And if you can do that, women respect you. Like, you got to have a woman that would respect you, man. Because if a woman can't respect you, she can't find any security within you. They need to feel safe. That's the best thing you can do for your woman, is to provide a safety. Because if you provide a safety for her, she would naturally fall into her feminine side that God's created. Not because you chose to, but because she feels safe. And just like how a turtle would have things coming against it, the turtle would go into its shell. You know, if you try to get a turtle, the defense mechanism is going into a shell. In the same way, that's what it's like for women. You irritate it, they go into their shell, their hard shell. But if you just give them a space where they can be free, they come out of the shell. And that's what it is. It's just creating that feminine space.
So woman of turtles. Gosh,
Can't fault that.
man.
Can't fault that.
Oh man,
Women do want to be feminine.
Yeah, they want to choose the soft side.
Man, Stephen, man, I'll tell you what. Also, this is you're probably one of the most intriguing and engaging guests we've ever had. Hey guys, you have. This is probably the first time, or one of the very few, usos that we've hardly had asked any questions. Do you notice that we just, it's just because you're just spitting out gems and just talking, and we just, obviously we really try to get to know you. And this is what we hope. We hope is that besides the content you do and you create, we wanted to know Stephen Setu, the man behind the content. And we're getting a clear and a good picture also. And I tell you what, you're a man of substance. And it's not just one of those things you just rant or you complain for no reason. There's a reason behind it. And so we appreciate, man. I appreciate what you have to say and share. And I tell you also, man, I am highly impressed.
Thank you.
I'm not even saying just to blow up smoke. I am highly impressed. I'm sitting here thinking, man, this because how old are you, Stephen?
I'm 32. Yeah.
Jeez,
92, baby.
Oh, man, but the wealth of experience, the wealth of knowledge, obviously you're reading and you're searching, researching, and study. It speaks volumes, because people can say a lot of things online and nothing to back it up. But you're backing up stuff with facts and also with figures and experience as well. And you sharing what your mom tells me the character of who you are. Because I wanted to ask, hey, where's they come from? What's the catalyst? What's the fire under the belly? But it seems like you come from good stock. Your mom's a great woman. Your family's great. I know your brother John, awesome dude. And so because now I get a clear picture of who you are as a man, but I'm also as a person. And so also, man, like you said, you got a big heart, and I know why you do what you do. I know why you do what you do. So
thank you guys, and I'm glad that you guys can see my heart, because I feel like I'm probably the most misunderstood person online.
Yeah.
But most misunderstood people are the right people once you really realize it. And I'm glad that you guys can see that. You know, I'm glad that you guys can go away and, you know, go home and have these things be like, wow, man, finally we can see, you know. So whenever you guys hear my name getting dragged or thrown around, you guys can see it from a different perspective now and just be like, yeah, you're just in your feelings, because I mean well. You know, yeah, perhaps you could call it cyberbullying or whatever, because people, you know, it has a name to it. But I think the underbelly of it all is I just care for you. That's the literal underbelly. And you can only teach what you live through. And this is how I've lived through. This is how I've been taught. And I know that in the Western world, they really emphasize feelings. So, you know, I know it's going to come back with pushback. But, you know, you eventually find your tribe, man. And that's what I've done. When I first started out on TikTok, on social media, everyone hated my guts. But I just kept going. And I found my tribe. I found the people that will love me. And I found the people that would agree with me. So never change. Never change your content for no one. Because there were many nights where I should have changed. The death threats, people coming to my apartment, people like posting up where I live, my license plate, all for telling people that depression is not real. Like, come on, man. If depression is such a bad thing, you should be on my side. If depression is such a bad thing, you should be agreeing with me, because I'm telling you, you can fight it. I'm not telling you to get brain-altering drugs. I'm not telling you to go into mental hospitals. I'm telling you that you are powerful beyond measure and you can break out of this thought pattern. If depression is really bad, then agree with me. Don't fight me, because I'm on the right side of the boat. But people don't see that. They just hear depression is not real and they say, you don't cater to other people's feelings. I'm like, no, are you listening to me? That's what I say. Are you listening to my message? Because I'm saying that you can overcome it. I'm not saying that this is going to take your life. I feel like depression is situational. The reason why you're depressed is because you're in a situation that you don't like. But if you change that situation, you will not be depressed. Because you're only depressed because you broke your heart. You're only depressed because you're unemployed. You're only depressed because you feel like you're not inadequate. Depression is a great indicator to remind you where your shortcomings are.
Yeah, very good.
And that's what it is. Whenever I'm depressed, I ask myself why. It's because I'm fat. It's because I don't have a job. It's because I'm this. Even jealousy is a great mirror for me. If I'm jealous, like let's say, you know, my partner will ever say, oh man, that guy, man, I love his car. And then I get jealous. I'm like, well, then that means I need to get a better car. You know?
That's right.
Yeah, it's just motivation. It's because if I had a better car, would I be jealous? Exactly. So it's just a great mirror. And so anything negative to me, I use it as good. I just reverse it. If it comes in bad, it goes out good. Comes in bad, goes out good. Comes in bad, goes out good. I don't dwell too much into like the what ifs. I'm just like, okay, so here it is. Like I always say this to my friends all the time. I said, if I was on the Titanic the day that the ship broke, I probably would be the only one on that boat not screaming. Like I would honestly be thinking of an idea. Like I always have this going through our minds. Like we'll talk about it in our group of friends. I'll be like, I would say, okay, everyone's screaming, shut up. It's cold. The water's cold. So we're going to die from hypothermia. We got jackets. So that means we're not going to drown. So we have to solve how we cannot be cold. So go into all the rooms and take all the air apples, go and take all their jumpers, go and take all their hoodies. Because I'm a solutionalist. I just focus on solutions. You come and give me something, I go to the solution. You know those people that will come to you and say, oh, I hate like hanging others, and they say the same shit, and then you're okay, what are you going to do about it? That's why nobody likes to ask me for advice, like my family. Because they'll come out to you, they're like, oh man, there's this guy in the church. And I go, okay, so what are you going to do about it? You going to still talk to him? Oh, I don't know. What are you going to do about it? You going to come back and what are you going to do? Because I just get straight to the solution, man. Like, filter it out, you know, just get to the point. That's what I do. I just like get to the point. So I feel like anything that comes from me, I just like to focus on solutions. Get it out of the way.
Man,
Spoken like a true man.
Man, love also. Hey, I'm mindful of time also, but
Yeah.
man, also, man, thank you so much. What a wealth of, oh man, just kind of like a roller coaster. Just information overload for me. It's like, well, gosh, it's some good stuff. But more so for our men. It's just been awesome telling also, hard out. And so, man, appreciate your time. But also, and I'll be honest, Stephen, I thought, man, we'll get Stephen on, and some people, and I was like, man, I don't know, is this a good move? Is it? And I was kind of like contemplating, but I'm glad we got you on, and appreciate, like I said before, appreciate your heart, appreciate your stance, and you just standing to your core beliefs without shying away from controversy. And so, you're probably going to be the most controversial person in the world very, very, very soon. But we do look forward to you enjoying politics and enjoying, I don't know, wherever the road leads, and your podcast, all that kind of stuff also. But man, I tell you what, I wish you nothing but the best also. Mad respect, my most.
So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Sure, bro. No. Iko or Pete here, definitely we'll be supporting you, man. Like, looking forward to your content. And
thanks, man.
Just with all this talk about being misunderstood, what do you feel, what don't you want to be misunderstood about you?
That I don't believe what I say. Because I feel like sometimes people think that I just say it for shock. And some people think I just regurgitate what I've heard. But I feel like I want people to know that if I said it, I mean it. And I don't want you just to know me as a person that says it. I want you to know me as the person that actually believes it. And that's why I say it boldly. That's why I speak loud. That's why I say it with conviction. Because I want people at the end of the day to be like, man, this guy means it. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's what it is. I wouldn't want to be misunderstood for that.
Cool.
Man,
And just in terms of action and making change, if you were made Prime Minister right now, what would be the initial things that you would change?
I think I'll try to rephrase your question. If I was like some sort of leader, for a rule, just like a rule, I would say whenever you leave someone, make sure you make them feel better than what they were before you met them or you talked to them.
That's cool.
So that would be something that I would say. So yeah, I just think the world needs more love. And you could argue and say that is my way love, but I think it is love. And there's a huge group of people that believe that is love. But I'm glad that Mandate is able to reveal my heart at the end of this. Because I hope when somebody watches this and they could say, wow, I feel bad that I actually misunderstood also because... You know, now I've listened to this and also just, he really does care. So that's why I hope at the end of all of this, you know.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your you advocating on a lot of these powerful messages, especially for our men, because this is a podcast for men and really trying to restore mana, like we were talking about before. And so your messages are powerful and the way you deliver it is powerful. And you say it with so much conviction and angst. And we know growing up on conviction and angst, it works. So, I wish you all the best. I hope you continue to break down many walls in this world, that you give people an opportunity to be seen, to be heard. Because that's what you're really fighting for, eh?
Yeah, that's it. And hopefully I can pave a way just for like Polynesians to be like, it's okay to speak your mind. Because I feel like le Polynesians, they're afraid. And a lot of Polynesians, they don't like to touch on these taboo subjects. I've noticed that in our culture, they sweep everything under the rug. They sweep it under the rug. But for me, I expose it. Because the only way to take out the pus is by squeezing it. Right?
Lancing it. Yeah, right.
That's the only thing. If you just leave the pus there to grow, it would fester and create an infection and destroy the whole thing.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, remove it immediately, get it done. And man, hope you guys hear the message at the end.
Yeah, it's powerful. Thank you.
No love also, man. Now.
Also, we gotta say something, but also we do have a gift for you. Every guest that comes on, I always do a caricature or cartoon of how we envision them to be. Also, on behalf of the Mandate team, this is for you.
Hey, why is my head big now? Sully, I appreciate this, man. Thank you so much, man. I'm going to be on the wall to help me lose weight.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate honestly, appreciate your time, man. What a good night, and we've done it. We've gone past 12, so it's 3 hours, man. So,
Shucks,
man, what a talanoa, man. And also, we're going to do something different tonight. We're going to end it off the Stephen Setu style.
Yeah.
How you always do it.
Yeah.
Look at the camera. Wherever the camera is, you finish it up with the Stephen Setu style, man.
I just want to say, get the fuck out of your feelings. Say, kai, ia, fa.
Mandate.